Peace. Peace, everybody. I'm just trying to do a little copy and pasting here. Actually, wasn't gonna do the live tonight because it's been hot. It's too hot for a live, man. It's been hot outside, and yeah, man. I was like, I don't feel like talking tonight, but I gave my word last night that I would, so I wanted to keep my word. Um, yeah, peace, Cheryl. But okay, so I'm gonna make this real quick, right? So what I said I was gonna do yesterday was really cover something that I can't even say happened because it's not even like a big occurrence or anything like that. But somebody disrespectful had kind of said some things which I'll share on the Sedula House Facebook page, and I decided to make an example out of them. Hold on, let me make sure I got everything closed so I don't have things popping up on me because it's already started. Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, so most of the time I just like, ignore it, block the person, delete the comment, whatever. So that way it doesn't become a distraction. But sometimes it's important to go down those roads with people to use them as an example. Like if you want to make an ass out of yourself, okay. Ultimately, I'm always going to find a way to use whatever's going on for the good. So if I have someone making an ass out of themselves, then I'm going to use that. I'm going to make an ass out of myself energy and turn it into a teaching lesson or monetize it or whatever. But no exertion is pointless, at least not for me, right? So essentially, there was a promo. Actually, no, it wasn't a promo on All Whores Go to Heaven. It was the conversation I was having with the sister at the University of ES. And I had said something in regards to, I don't remember what the clip said. I have to play it. But oh, man, I could just play it. Yeah. Peace, Suzanne. Um, yeah, it was one because I want to make sure I get the right one. But it was like, those little 1 minute clips we put up like after we do interviews or whatever, just to lets people see what we were basically talking about, whatever. And it was one of those. And, this individual took it upon themselves. His name is Eddie Haynes or Eddie Hughes, something like that. Um, I think I have it somewhere around here. Eddie Hughes, and he took it upon himself to, you know, speak on grown folks' business, basically. And people do that sometimes, and I just let them just be stupid and do their thing. Okay, here it is. So let's see. I'm gonna see if I could play this just so I can recap what was said. You guys could probably hear that. Okay, you know what? You know what? That wasn't even the right clip. That's the wrong clip. Uh, hold on. Let me. I just realized because it was the one. All right, cool. So I wanted to give you all a little bit background. Uh, can't hear what? You couldn't hear me, or you couldn't hear the clip? You should have been able to hear the clip. I think you were able to hear the clip. Weren't you guys able to hear that clip just now? Couldn't hear audio in the clip? No, that's not what was supposed to be. That's not what was meant. Let's see. Tell me if you can hear it now. You got to be able to hear that. Can't hear it. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, wait, 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 wait. I know why. But it's too late. Okay. I know why you couldn't hear it. I know exactly why. Okay. Hmm. I don't think I can change that now. Yeah, I think that is I think it is what it is. Okay. So I'm not gonna sweat that. Um, can I? Let me see. Mic off. Let me look at these controls here. There are no controls in a live. All right, so scratch it. Screw it. Um, basically, okay, the clip was just saying the first one was saying was given a definition, not the part of the definition of the word whore and its relationship to the word light, so forth and so on. The second clip, and well, no, it was describing what what a whore is in terms of like, you know, the type of woman. And matter of fact, I think I can put the links. Copy video URL. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna put the Facebook links of each one into the chat. We're gonna do that. I know what happened, but I don't want to restart. In order to fix that, I gotta restart the live. I don't feel like doing all that. It's the way I got my audio pumped through. That's all. And you can't fix it. Well, you can't change it, I should say, once you start. So we're just gonna deal with it the way it is. All right. So that's one clip, and then we have where's the other clip? The other clip was when I was on her show. Here we go. It's this one. All right. I'm just gonna put these in the chat. So if y'all wanna, you know, whatever, we have your background. All right, there we go. Let me close this out. Okay, so the clip links are now in the chat. So essentially, this is what happened, right? So those clips were up. One's explaining like the description of the type of woman that a whore is, you know, and explaining like whore represents light or heaven. So it's one who's infused and imbued, excuse me, with light. And the other one was just, I was just talking about the word sound of the word whore, right? So this guy responds on the Sedulu House page, not my personal page. He tried to take a backdoor. And I have a very nice assistant, very sweet woman, who handles the Sedulu House page and the correspondence. Who I preside over in terms of employment. You know, sometimes people can be extra rude and stupid. And the thing is, when you're free, you know, when you don't work for anyone and you're not dependent upon anyone's contract or their money or their paycheck or whatever, your rules of customer service change a little bit. You know, because when you're not free, you got to have customers being rude and saying this and saying that, and people, and you always got to put forward this, you know, you got to be the vanguard of the, okay, sir, I'm sorry that's it. You got to do that type of stuff. And oh yeah, let me play my music because y'all can't hear it now anyway. So I can play it as loud as I want now in my headphones. Um, so yeah, you know, when you're free, you don't necessarily have to pretend that someone is being rational or someone has a good point or the customer is always right or whatever. And especially when it comes to my staff, like once I see someone kind of like abusing them, I jump in immediately. That's happened a bunch of times where I just was like, yo, just block the person, delete it. Or it could be like someone in a class asking a dumb question, and sometimes they are dumb questions, and the person's trying to explain and they're getting frustrated just because they're just a nasty person generally. And I'll be like, you know what, refund their money and kick them off the site. Real easy. Like it's I'd rather do that than abuse my workers, because then I could always be like, well, I'm paying you so you deal with, but I don't do that. Don't disrespect me, you don't disrespect my team. You know, if you don't have enough protocol to know not to do that, then just you're in the wrong place. Don't come here with that, basically. So essentially, uh, so those are what the two clips were about. I put the links in the thing. So wait, those are just links to Sadul House. Oh no, they're longer than that. Okay. So so what happened was the individual then left a comment. I'm going to read the comments and I'm going to read the responses. As I go through the responses, I'm going to point out little things. I'm probably not even going to do the whole thing because honestly, like I said, I wasn't even going to do the live tonight. I'm just a little fatigued, and not fatigued physically, but mentally. I'm a little depleted. And this moron is not important. It's not even about him. It's about you guys. Because a lot of times, like I said last night, Oh, that's one of my assistants right there contacting me. Um, I'll get back to it. So, a lot of times people contact me and I get like these like people say they have like what would chief do moments, where like they're dealing with someone who's belligerent, dealing with family that's disrespectful, or just different situations in life, and they're sometimes maybe at a loss in how to really deal with it. And from the years of seeing how I talk to people on the phone who maybe come in a little sideways in different situations or interviews, I've had people come back and like say, thank you for that because I've learned some ways of how to deal with people based on seeing how you deal with people, right? So sometimes I'll let things go. Like somebody will say something slick, because you guys have probably heard me on both sides. You've heard me, and be short with people. Like, look, don't come here with that nonsense. You said that because you're saying this. Matter of fact, you got your answer. Bye. And then you've probably also heard me let things go a little bit and ask people questions. Like they may say something slick, and I'll say, well, why would you say it that way? I know why they did, but get them to say it. Say it what way? What are you talking about? Well, it just seemed like, and I'll just play along, play. And they're thinking that they're so dumb. They're thinking that I'm dumb and that I'm asking these questions because I'm uninformed. They don't realize that I'm actually in the moment turning their belligerence into a lesson for everybody else. So that was the case here. You see. So those two clips, right, was there, and right. So the first comment he put in was, oh, let me go up. Okay, yeah, he said he's not talking about them $2 hoes. And I think he should use a different terminology because the term whore has a negative connotation because he's actually speaking of a perceptive woman who clenches a hold of a virtuous man. So let me just, dissect that for a moment. He's not talking about them $2 hoes. I never use the term hoe. I specifically, through this whole experience, you listen to every promo, every interview, you've only ever heard me say whore. You've not heard, and then you've heard me at certain times say whore, as in Horace. I ain't seen nothing about no $2 hoe. But so keep that, lock that one in. All right. I think he should use different terminology because the term whore has a negative connotation. Because he's actually speaking of a perceptive woman who clenches a hold of a virtuous man. Now, let's look at that for a second. I think he should use a different terminology. Well, if you think that and you're talking about a man on his school website where his students log in to see things, I mean, the school Facebook page, don't you think it would be a little bit undermining of that man's authority and position to say something like that in front of the students? Wouldn't you, as a man, say, is there any way I can have a conversation? I can send a message to Chief, or maybe send it to customer service, say, this is for Chief. All right. Now, I want you to understand, I'm not sharing any of this with you because I feel like, oh, you should have did it. That was messed up. I'm just giving you guys protocol. I'm just telling you violations of protocol. That's it. It's not, I don't, and you're going to understand later why I don't really care like that, which is why I was like, I ain't going to do the show tonight, because it's not for me. But I was like, let me just go through it because it's not often that I break down stupidity like that. So then he says, because he's actually speaking of a perceptive woman who clenches a hold of a virtuous man. That's very assumptive. A perceptive woman who clenches a hold of a virtuous man. So now he's created his own definition for something, but then said that that's what I'm saying. Meanwhile, I already defined what I was saying in the clip. So then he comes up with his own definition, right? Again, unsolicited, inappropriate, right? So my assistant responds and says, because she even says, she was like, that was a little rude of him, to tell you, to proceed to tell you what term you should use, how you should speak. You don't speak to another man that way. So she said, um, that's why he is teaching what the term actually means. So our connotations are not based on ignorance of the actual definition of the words used. Trust me, he knows what he is doing. He's been dealing with the public longer than many have been alive in the community. And she put a smiley face. See, the moment people say phrases like that, they let you know where their alignment is. They let you know what alliances are. The whore has a negative connotation because negative to who? Who connotes the word as being negative? It's like if I say something like, we should eat more vegetables. And a person says, well, you shouldn't call them vegetables. You should call them fresh foods because the word vegetable has a negative connotation. To who? Who perceives it that way? And how do you know who I'm speaking to? When we're putting these promos out, we're putting out the documentary, how do you know what my demographic is? You're making assumptions, right? Because the word whore doesn't have a negative connotation for the demographic that I've already targeted as my audience. Now, we're going to keep going. But you see what my assistant said? That is why he's teaching what the term actually means. So you see, in a real soft way, she's saying, you just misdefined the term. But I'm not going to call you out and embarrass you, but I'm just going to say, that's why Chief is teaching what the word means. And then she says, so our connotations are not based on ignorance of the actual definition of the words used, because clearly his was based on ignorance of the actual term used. But she said it in a nice way. Then she said, trust me, he knows what he's doing. Basically, shut the F up. He's got this. He doesn't need you to come in and police him. Who are you to come in and try to create now some statutes for another man? He knows what he's doing, right? Then she said, he's been dealing with the public longer than many have been alive in the community. So what that was her soft way of saying he's actually an elder. And the way you're coming at him is disrespectful because you don't tell an elder what to do. Period. If you don't like it, get off the page. Go on your page and say, I don't think this should be supported, whatever, but you don't come into an elder space and talk like that. So that's what was being said there. So then he replies again a day later when it could have been left there because clearly you said something. First of all, put it on my page because the same promos were on my page. You take a back road and try to talk to my students. It's not the first time this has happened. Again, no biggie. Because nobody's gonna listen to him anyway like that. So not like I care really. But so then he replies and says, I've seen this brother on YouTube. He's righteous. So I don't need to quote unquote trust you about you, but he talks like a trick who has been turned out by some hoe. What he's getting from some hoe, he can be getting from a wife. Speaking of the community, comma, black men exonerating hoes is not positive for the community. It is more positive for black men to be talking about loving his wife and to be seen raising his children than for him to be on Facebook drooling over some $2 hoe. That's his response. I should have did a Google Hangout because I actually was going to put pictures up of the dude. But so you could get a matter of fact, I'm gonna put his if I can find, I don't know if I can because I don't have really a face, I don't have that type of account. Maybe I could search by his name. There we go. That was great. So you can get some context of who's speaking. And I should warn you that this picture, let me if I can see that. Picture seems to be about maybe 15 years. His profile picture. He's got one of the profile pictures he took 15 years ago. You know, one of them type of things. You know, yeah, yeah. I think that's it. Okay. So that was his response. Now let's get into that a little bit, right? So he said, I've seen this brother on YouTube. He's righteous. How would you know I'm righteous by watching YouTube videos? You don't know me, but that's your judgment. Fine. I don't care about your judgment anyway, because as I always let you guys know, it's the internet. It's not real to me. So whether you say, oh, Chief, you this type of person, you that, it doesn't really affect me because it's the internet, right? So Akbar Ato Anwar. So then he says he's righteous, so I don't need to quote unquote trust you. Rude. Quote, trust. Rude. Um, but he talks like a trick who's been turned out by some hoe. Super rude. Now you're insulting me, right? And mind you, you're talking to my assistant. It's not like you came and said this to me or got on my page. You're saying this to my assistant, right? Now, the world that I'm from, I'm gonna keep it completely real with you. It's one of the highest insults to call someone like me a trick. But no problem, because again, see, one of the things, and people always ask me, like, why is it you stay so calm all the time? Because I always consider the source. You could say anything you want, it depends on who's saying it, you know. So he said he sounds like a trick who's been turned out by some hoe. Mind you, he keeps using the word hoe. I have never used it. What he's getting from some hoe, he can be getting from a wife. I never said I was getting anything from a hoe. I never said I had a wife or don't have a wife. But now he's going on to explain things unsolicited again to my assistant. It's all rude. It's all rude. Then he says, speaking of the community, black men exonerating hoes is not positive for the community. I never exonerated hoes. And who are you to say was positive for the community? What are you doing for the community? I'm defining the term whore. So why are you so involved in this? Why does this mean so much to you to be speaking to my assistant about this? And I'll get into this because it gets is much more. But I'm just going to take little piece. Black men need to be talking about loving his wife. The sentence doesn't even make sense grammatically. Black men need to be talk about black men. Black it didn't even. It's more positive for black men to be talking about loving his wife and to be seen raising his children than to have him on Facebook drooling over some $2 hoe. I need you guys to show me the video or the image of me on Facebook drooling over a $2 hoe. Mind you, I never used the term hoe. I never said $2 hoe. And I've never drooled over a woman, period, let alone on Facebook. But again, just being further insulting, further offensive, right? So at this point now, then he makes another comment and he says, pontificating on the existence of a good hoe. He keeps using that term hoe. And I never talked about a good whore versus a bad whore. Of a good hoe is as inane, I guess insane, as preacher Paulie giving a sermon of evil being good. Then he puts a clip from he puts a clip from Vampire in Brooklyn. You know, when he was on the Mount, Eddie Murphy was like, evil is good. So all this is a lack of his own understanding. He doesn't he wasn't, I defined what the word was, but he wasn't able to follow along. So because he can't follow along, he's stuck on the emotional effect that he hears with the word whore. See, these are the type of dumb people that keep the conscious community dumb. Honestly, they keep them dumb. I'm just telling you straight up, because you can never go any further than when you already are. Because first of all, he's talking about you black man should be talking about his wife and raising his children. Negro, please. Like, get out of here with your American dreaming. We're talking about something at a deeper level and breaking down terms and ideas and definitions so we can all move together more intelligently. And you're just a dummy who shouldn't be talking. So I'm going to get into it more because it gets even more heated. But see, I don't normally call people out like this. I hear dumb stuff all day, but it's like as a priest and as a teacher, you gotta like stay cool most of the time. And I'm still cool, but I'm just saying like, because this question was asked recently. Zach asked it the other night, and he was like, you know, what do you think gives people that boldness? And it's because you're accessible. When you're online, like right now, anybody can put anything in the chat. But in any other instance, especially in waking life, people, I'm not nearly that accessible. People can't talk to me. You want to talk to me, you get a reading. But now with social media, people hit my inbox and this and that. And so now it puts in their mind that, oh, I'm like him. We're equal. Or I might even be better than him because he's constantly in this position of a servant. And I can just jump in and out, make my statements when I feel like it, and then go forward. Meanwhile, he has to still sit there and serve. So he makes that statement. And then now this is when I come in. This is now when I say, okay, enough is enough. Let me say something. And I said, what kind of attention are you looking for, Eddie? It's very disrespectful to not only proceed to come into my space and tell me how to present something I've put my time, talent, energy, and thought behind, but then to go so far as to say I talk like a quote unquote trick who has been turned out by some quote unquote hoe. Not only that, I never used the word hoe. You did. I never used the term $2 hoe. You did. If you can't conduct yourself with civility in my space, I'm going to ask you to exit. If you continue on your current trajectory, you will be exited. Then I quoted what he said. What he's getting from some hoe, he can be getting from a wife, end quote. And then I said, that statement in itself is rife with ignorance. You are ignorant of who I am. You are ignorant of my family situation. You clearly have not noticed that I have only, capital word only, used the word whore, quote unquote, and not hoe, Hoe, quote unquote, which is a garden tool. Even though I was going to say hoe, I wouldn't spell it that way. Then I said, there is a stark difference. On top of that, you then proceed to tell me what I can get and from who. You're just completely out of pocket. Men shouldn't proceed to berate other men publicly. In doing that, they prove themselves to be lesser males. Then, quote, speaking of the community, black men exonerating hoes is not positive for the community, end quote. And I said, who exonerated hoes? Another quote from him. Facebook drooling over some $2 hoe, end quote. I said, who is drooling over a $2 hoe on Facebook? Your statements are not even relatable to the actual clip or body of information presented. You clearly have not been able to follow along, but despite that, have still taken the position of quote unquote teacher. It's unmanly, and I will not allow it here. On top of that, you're being disrespectful to me, my space, my staff, and my project. So that was my response, right? Which was a fairly strong response, you know, because normally you wouldn't get anything from me. Normally I would have just deleted what he said and blocked him. My block list is deep. So he replies and says, where's it at? Um, Wait a minute. Oh, I lost some of it. Hold on. Okay, I gotta pull it up from my thing. Give me a second, y'all. And you know what? As I'm pulling this up, you guys give me your thoughts on this. And when I mean thoughts, and it's like not like, yeah, F him. You know, you don't have to do that. But I'm saying just thoughts on situations like these that maybe some of you have encountered. Because I'm only sitting here reading this corny stuff for you guys. Because honestly, he's just not important to me. You know, like the whole thing is not important to me. I'll be honest with you. Um, yeah. But hold on, let me pull up. Okay, here I should be able to pull up because I blocked him. So, mute that. I blocked him, so I got to go to a different place to pull up the old comments that he put. Um, okay. Oh, darn it. I'm gonna have to pull up the screenshots because I thought Facebook was gonna keep the old replies. Oh, here they are. Okay, okay, okay. All right, pontificating, Eddie, what kind of attention are you looking for? Okay. Then here we go. Let me just copy this so I can read it more clearly. All right. So then he says, let me go over to you guys. All right. He says, you know what, brother? He keeps calling me brother. Let me get through it. You know what, brother? It is not my intention to disrespect you, your staff, or anybody else associated with you. But you grinning from ear to ear while you're breathing the word whore makes you look pathetic. I'm not saying you are pathetic. That's in parentheses. I've linked one of my favorite lessons by you, so I am somewhat familiar with you. Somewhat familiar, but you just called me right. Let me get through it. I'm gonna read it and then I'll come back. Somewhat familiar with you, but you're not Obatala. Therefore, you're not above being questioned. You don't need to be playing with this word whore. Father. She was usually the victim of sexual abuse, and no man wants his daughter to be a whore. Parentheses, maybe you don't mind that. I do mind. In parentheses. Yes, I did watch the entire 1 minute video. You asked me, what kind of attention are you looking for? I want what SU always wants. Always want. Let me not even fix his grammar. If you want to be respected as a chief, then you need to understand that being a whore is not a glamorous job. And your fascination with the word whore is not becoming of a chief. The fact that you deem it necessary to remind me that you said whore and not hoe is disquieting. So, what do I want? I want my chief to be more responsible in the words he chooses. I want to know my chief is secure and cemented in his resolve. I want to know that my chief will not become flustered just because he is challenged. Okay. So, all right, let me go through some of it. And then, all right. So, first thing, you know what, brother? It is not my intention to disrespect you, your staff, or anybody else associated with you, but you grinning from ear to ear while you're breathing the word whore makes you look pathetic. That was all disrespectful. Not my intention to disrespect you, but here's some disrespect. I'm not saying you're pathetic, but you look pathetic. That's the type of stuff that gets people punched in their face. Like I'm like let's just come out of the internet for a second. Like let me just have some real down home talk with you, family, just for a second. Um, on some like man to man stuff, I would have smacked the sugar honey iced tea out of him in person. Not because he upset me, but just because he overstepped his place. That's it. Like you overstepped. First of all, he's probably so weird moving that he wouldn't even have been able to get close to me. But to have a man in my face or a male impersonating as a man saying you look pathetic, really, Now I'm not saying I'm violent like that and I just hit people who disrespect me, but I'm saying it's just because I know that just because I don't hit somebody doesn't mean that what they're doing is not hit worthy. That's just a really rude statement. Then he's saying you're grinning from ear to ear. Really? I got big teeth. Beef. I got big teeth. From New York. Big teeth. It always comes out ear to ear. And I got little ears, so it's easy to make it there. But again, you can clearly see by the response that he doesn't know what the word means. You can see it. So he's still what he's really doing. It's not even that he has this passionate, you know, um, conflict in himself about what I'm saying. He's just happy to be talking to me. This is homoerotic. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Not on my side. He's getting turned on by being able to finally have a conversation with me because he knows he's not on my level. I'm gonna keep it totally real with you. So this is where all whores go to heaven. It touches on things like that, because he is like a trick. A trick will do any old kind of thing to try to get into the face of a pimp. So what he'll do is typically go through the pimp's woman because that's the only way he can connect with some of that energy of that P. You see, so what he's trying to do is antagonize me, and because he didn't have the genius and the brilliance to come up with the concept or the treatment or the theory or even have the life experience to even speak on the things that I'm speaking on, the only way he could try to get a shortcut is to try to antagonize me. And then if I can respond to him, and if he can get me into a certain emotional space, then he can say to himself, "Oh, we're equal." Because look at the place I just brought him, right? So that's what you hear when you hear in the end when he says, "I want to know that my chief will not become flustered just because he is challenged." I was never flustered at all. In fact, let me tell you why I even responded as much as I did. Somebody on my team, a sister, was like, "I'm about to rip this mother effer to shreds. How dare he handle it because I don't want the sisters to get involved because then it turns into a show and he's not worth the show." Like, yeah, if it was somebody more important or someone who I consider to be an intellectual equal, then I might feel like, okay, let's play chess. This is just some dumb cornball. Look at his profile. You'll see. Just some like dumb, corny dude. Like he's in New Orleans. Like he's just some dork. Like I don't care anything about him. Um, and all that. I want to know my chief. I'm not your chief, Negro. What are you talking about? And that by itself sounds like something you want to say. You know, while somebody's hitting you from the back. It sounds like you getting turned on every time. My chief, my chief, my chief, right? See, I'm just giving it to you raw and real tonight. Why not? So let me go back to some of the beginning. The whole I'm not you look pathetic, I'm not saying you're pathetic, right? I've linked one of my favorite lessons by you, so I'm somewhat familiar. Somewhat familiar with what? Me? Because you don't know me, player. Like you don't know me. So he put the one, I think it was the Magic of the Orisha, something like that, which was one. Matter of fact, I think it was the one I did, and he might have been in the audience. It's the one I did in New Orleans. So like you went on YouTube, you search my name on YouTube, my stuff comes up. That doesn't mean you're familiar with me. Um, and then he says, "But you're not a Batala, therefore you're not above being questioned." That makes no sense. That makes zero sense. Zero sense. You're not a Obatala, therefore you're not above being questioned. Well, first of all, you didn't ask any questions. You made statements, assumptions, and accusations. Number one. Number two, I am above Obatala. And if you have been following along, if you even listened to that very lecture where I broke down Obatala in New Orleans, you would have known that. So just the fact you say that shows there's not a whole lot going on up here. All right. But I'm still like, okay. Like I said, people say wrong things all the time. I don't always respond because it's like it's a part of your journey. But don't say something wrong and try to use it to weaponize it against me. And then you're gonna put a clip of my video, and I'm like, if you actually watched the video and understood it, you wouldn't have said what you just said. So you're not about Obata, therefore you're not above being questioned. Number one, you don't talk to a man like that. See, this is someone who hasn't gotten beat up enough. He got a big jaw, like he's a fighter, but I don't know what's going on, man. Or maybe he misses the fight. Maybe something in his body's broken down now. Like I said, he's probably around my age, man, but everybody's not preserved in the same kind of way. Um, let's see. A whore is usually that woman who did not have a positive relationship with her father. The victim, she is usually the victim of sexual abuse, and no man wants his daughter to be a whore. Well, maybe you don't mind. I do mind. Insulting. First of all, you're making assumptions about a whore, and you talking about hoes, dummy. I made it clear I brought whore all the way back to Het Haru. Now you show me in the stories, you show me on the temple reliefs where Het Haru was abused by her father. You see, like stupidity, because you can't follow along. That's why I always say my teaching is not for everybody, because some people are not smart enough to understand what I'm talking about. They need to go and keep listening to the little baby stuff, man. Listen to the I don't want to diss anybody, but listen to the baby stuff. So now, yes, I did watch the entire 1 minute video. So you watched the entire 1 minute video and now you qualified to comment on what I'm talking about. Meanwhile, we've put out about 4 or 5 promotions already, and I did 2 1-hour shows already on the actual documentary. But you just always wants. Makes no sense. Eshu doesn't want anything. And Eshu is not human. I've explained this. But see, I've been explaining things here. You're letting me know that your intelligence is here and your understanding is here. And you're trying to debate, or you're trying to check and correct someone who, and let me explain, let me put my fingers here. I've been teaching here, your understanding is here, but my understanding is where the camera isn't. And you're trying to check me. And normally, it's like when a child does that. No, mommy, no, it's cute. You don't get upset. You're like, okay. But then if like the child hits you or something, it's like, oh, wait a minute now. This isn't cute anymore. That's basically what this is. You're saying things that make no sense, and you're trying to check me at the same time. So if you're not smart enough to not only understand what has been taught to you, or even match me in wits in terms of Orisha information, that's what you're throwing up, then what makes you think you understand this other thing that I'm doing? What makes you think you have intelligence there all of a sudden when I clearly, just from the stupid statements you've already said, you're outmatched. You're outmatched and you're outclassed. Clearly. Where do you get the idea that I can check him? And if he's supposed to be my chief, and I'm not this Negro's chief, I don't know this mother effer. But if I'm supposed to be your chief, how dare you speak to your chief that way? If we were back home, you would have been stabbed already and thrown into the creek for talking to somebody like talking to a chief like that. They would have pulled you out in the middle of the village and stabbed you up. Shit, if I was walking with my sons and you did that shit, you might get stabbed up. But anyway, so let's go back to it. What kind of attention? Okay, if you want to be respected as a chief, then you need to understand. See, now you're so I guess you're higher than a chief now, and you're assuming that I don't have respect as a chief. See, just talking to be talking, right? So the more he talks, the less irritating he is. So I want you to understand, because the more he talks, the stupider he sounds. So the stupider he sounds, the more I'm like, oh, okay, he's a little special. So it doesn't mean anything. Like if it was somebody who I respected, then or someone who had intelligence, then I might be like, oh, I might be like, all right, let me review what I'm talking about here. But everything, almost every sentence you're saying sounds stupid. Now, these are the things that go on. I'm only sharing this, like I said, these are the things that sometimes go on in the back of my mind that I don't share with you guys. Or when you see me, like people call into shows and like people like, wow, Chief, you stay so calm. This is the inner dialogue that's happening. And I'll be like, oh, okay. Like, when you always hear me like, oh, all right, okay, cool. Well, you got this. What I'm really saying is, you stupid idiot. Obviously, you don't want to listen. So go ahead and continue to screw your life up. But I got flyer things to do. Okay. So anyway, and normally I would have did this here, but I said, I'm gonna turn this into a lesson. If it was a woman, I wouldn't have done this. But with a dude, you could take a little beating. Then he says, the fact that you deem it necessary to remind me that you said whore and hoe is disquieting. Idiot. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. I'm showing that there's a difference between the two terms. No different than there's a difference between the term nigger in Nigeria, or naga, or negaru. So if I point it out, or if I say that you had Amuraka, which later became America, even though we were told it came from Amerigo Vespucci, and you said, "Well, I don't like the term America." Okay, that's cool, but it doesn't come from Amerigo Vespucci. I just want to explain that to you. It comes from Amuraka. And then you keep saying, "Yeah, but you know, people know America is this and this." You just dumb. Come on, bro. You just dumb. Honestly. So that's what this is. I'm saying this is what a whore is. The term has been bastardized and perverted, so we don't understand it. When he makes the statement that, look at that later. When he makes the statement that something like, "I know that no little girls," it's around here somewhere. No little girls. Okay, yeah. No woman as a child dreamed of growing up to be a whore. Wrong again, dummy. That's what we're talking about in the documentary, because there are plenty of young ladies that grow up with fascinations with geisha, with courtesans, with dancers, with strippers. They grow up, they're 6, 7 years old, love playing on the poles. Come on, like that's what we're talking about. And because you got dummies like this, these girls who have this idea inside of them, they don't really get to express it. So they become those what we call closet freaks, or they become those low-key sneak hoes. You know, hoe. Now I'm using the word properly, hoe. Instead of really understanding that's a natural disposition. It's no less natural than little boys who like to fight, you know, and then they go on to be warriors, or they go on to be soldiers, or they go on to enjoy, you know, some type of career in physicality, or those who like numbers, or those who like flowers, or whatever. Well, some little girls like to explore sexuality. They like to explore manipulation and energy manipulation. They do dream about it. But obviously, like, he really sounds like a trick, actually. They got his heart broke. But or he sound I'm gonna keep it, like I said, he sounds like he's a little sweet on Chief. He sounds like he wants me to hit it from the back. It's late night, so I'm talking to you real. That's what he really sounds like with all of this. He sounds zesty. All right, now I'm gonna go back up to my response. Okay, I said, clearly your only intention is to be disrespectful. If you just did something that was pointed out as being offensive and disrespectful, and you proceed to do it again, you are moving with deliberate intent. He probably didn't understand that sentence at all. He probably didn't get any of it. I typed that for you guys. I put that up there so you could hear it. To then link a video of my own teaching is silly. If I have the sentience to teach that lesson, I have the awareness to teach this one. That's my nice way of saying you couldn't have taught that lecture that I taught in New Orleans because you're not even smart enough. So if I was smart enough to teach that lesson, which is beyond your intellect, I'm smart enough to teach other things that are beyond your intellect. So shut the F up, sit back and learn something instead of coming with your unsolicited opinion based on your ignorance and stupidity. That was my nice way of saying that. So, like I said, if I have the sentience to teach that lesson, I have the awareness to teach this one. Can you teach any of them? Question mark. Can you even define the words you are so taken back by? Because he ain't defined anything. I know you can't. So no need to begin to stumble and make up descriptions like you already did. You didn't pose a question. You made assumptions, accusations, and were insulting. While you're breathing the word whore makes you look pathetic. I'm not saying you are pathetic. Then I said, that is a rude statement. I don't look pathetic. I look better than him. So what do you mean I look pathetic? On a bad day, I look better than you. So what do you, no, that's not gonna work. You ain't gonna get that one off. I said I don't look pathetic. If that is your opinion, keep it to yourself. That would at least show that you have some sort of etiquette. At this point, as I have said, you are trolling. And what I'm saying about that whole pathetic thing is like, we on the internet, so I got to say this nicely. But if you came to me in my face and said that, I'd knock your teeth out. And you know it. Like, men know how far to go with each other, but on the internet, they take certain liberties that they shouldn't take. I wouldn't say that to somebody on the internet. I wouldn't. No, that's so rude. And why would I want to provoke someone to anger like that or provoke someone to want to hurt me? So then I said, what makes you qualified to judge me as a man, priest, or chief? I've not heard one intelligent statement from you. In fact, each of your statements only shows that you have poor listening and reading comprehension skills. You're out of your depth, but still struggling to make a baseless self-righteous point. It would be better to reserve judgment, as coming into my digital space with insults does nothing to further a fruitful exchange. Then I quoted him, "You're not Obatala, therefore you're not above being questioned." My response, that statement makes absolutely no sense at all. You need to study much more than you have. Then I quoted him again, "You don't need to be playing with this word whore. No woman as a child dreamed of growing up to be a whore." My response, "Who's playing?" Question mark. On top of that, like, Negro, you know how much work is going into putting this thing together? You think I'm playing? Stupid. But this is somebody who's never done anything in life. You could tell. People who've never done anything in life, first of all, there's a whole I'll get into that. Because it's the old man Facebook syndrome. You know, nobody listens to you, your nieces, your cousins, your children don't listen to you. So you get on Facebook, which is an old ass medium. You know, it's for the 40 and above. You get on Facebook and want to start arguments with everybody so somebody will listen. This is the type of fool that goes into the barbershops and bothers everybody until it's time to close up and then walks each barber to their car. He's one, because I used to own a barbershop. I had always had guys in there like that. Nobody feels like listening to you. So they go in there every day just running their mouth because you stuck in there. So they have a captive audience. So you got a lot of old people on Facebook now who do that. And they come to me something, yeah, man, I'll be tearing them up on Facebook. Facebook? Facebook. You don't get your old And like I said, he's probably around my age, but I don't know. He ain't got no swag. I guess that's really what it is. He got no swag whatsoever. I still got my swag. I'm good. But anyway, so I said, on top of that, who are you to tell me what I need to be doing? Very rude statement. You're going to come into another grown man space and say you should do it this way. Who does that? Except for someone who's extremely obnoxious and closed. See, the most judgmental people are the most closed. They're constantly pointing, it should be like that, it should be like that. That's no good, that's no good, that's not right. So I said, okay, you have already, okay. I said, who's playing? On top of that, who are you to tell me what I need to be doing? You have already displayed that you're not at my level. So how can you best advise what I should or should not be doing? You're only being obnoxious. So picture it like this. You showing me you're not at my level. You're down here. I'm functioning up here. How the hell can you tell me what I should be doing up here when you can't even see everything up here? Can you see the top of a mountain and see every side if you're down here? No. So shut up. You can't start talking till you get at least here. Then you can look down and see more. You say, okay, I saw you from here, I saw you from here, I saw you from here, saw you from here, now I saw you from up here. But if you're down here, can't even repeat basic concepts back correctly, you're not qualified to speak. Shut the F up. It's simple. And there's a comment I'm going to read that, Lo, you put in that I liked a lot on the last video. I'm going to see if I can pull it up while I'm doing this video. Right. Okay. So I said, you're only being obnoxious. Then I quoted him again when he said, A whore is usually that woman who did not have a positive relationship with a father. She is usually the victim of sexual abuse, and no man wants his daughter to be a whore. Well, maybe you don't mind, but I do mind. And then I just replied and said, further insults coupled with misinformation. You don't even know what you're talking about, but you're going to take a statement of just misinformation and then end it off and talk about my daughter or my intentions towards my daughter. Dumbass. So then I quoted him again when he said, you asked me what kind of attention are you looking for? I want what Eshu always wants. And then I said, another nonsensical statement. Eshu wants for nothing. Again, you need to study, don't just skim. Quoted him again. See, when you're dealing with a belligerent person like that, don't give him food. Because see, what he wants is, yeah, man, I was on Facebook with Chief, man. We was going at it. No, Negro, you wasn't going at it with Chief. Because I would embarrass your goofy ass. You wasn't going at it with me. All I was doing was taking everything you said and fed it back to you. Because everything you said was so stupid, I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to pull anything out of my hat. All I had to do was just hold up a mirror and say, "You see what you just said? You see what you just said." That's all I kept. If you notice, that's all I'm doing this whole thing. So I said, if you want, he said, if you want to be where we're at, yeah. So he quotes, if you want to be respected as a chief, then you need to understand that being a whore is not a glamorous job. Like he must know. He definitely sounds like a prostitute. So, um, and your fascination with the word, I never said I was fascinated by the word whore. And your fascination with the word is not becoming of a chief. What do you know is becoming of a chief? And watch what I ask him. So then I say, are you a chief? Who said I want, quote unquote, to be respected as a chief? Who said I am already not respected as a chief? Just because, capital the word, you are lost in the dialogue doesn't mean others are. Meaning, just because you're dumb doesn't mean everybody else is dumb. You're the only dumb person in this scenario. Other people who are following and supported and excited about the project, they get what's being said. You just the one dummy that's the loudest one. And if you're not a chief, first of all, you shouldn't even be talking to me. That's why I don't be online like that. I killed my personal. I used to have a regular Facebook account. I killed it. Why? Because everybody was in my inbox all the time. You're not supposed to have that much access to me like that. See, if you really want to respect what this is and Chief Yuya, Chief, then you need to learn what it is. You can't just come up and say whatever you feel like saying to me whenever you feel like saying it and trying to check me. And that's not just as far as being a chief, that's just being a man. I have people who study under me, plenty of men and good women, but I'm gonna deal with the men for a second. Go to any of their social media profiles. You won't see me checking out one of them. I don't do that. There's women who have come under me and men who have now gone off to be their own like teachers and they do readings and stuff like that. Sometimes they say stuff that doesn't make sense because they left me too soon because they were trying to just go get money, really. That's what it was. And they didn't want to respect the process. But I've never mentioned them by name, and I've never got on their profile saying that doesn't make any sense. You should. Who has time? Who has the time for that? And on top of that, why would you disrespect someone and invade and intrude upon their space like that? If somebody puts up a Facebook page or Instagram page or a YouTube page so that they can have an opportunity to voice themselves, who am I to come in and say, no, don't voice yourself like that? What kind of oppressive crap is that? So anyway, so he says, where was I? I said, yeah, you're lost in the dialogue. Doesn't mean that others are. And I said, you're just rude. That would be the case despite my credentials. So I said, well, then I quoted him again. See, I'm just holding the mirror up. I said, the fact that you deem it necessary to remind them that you said whore and not hoe is disquieting. And then I said, You have not been quiet the entire time. I want you to remember that statement because dummy thought I didn't understand what disquieting means. Um, so I quote him again when he said, "So what do I want? I want my chief to be more responsible in the words he chooses. I want to know my chief is secure and cemented in his resolve. I want to know that my chief will not become flustered just because he is challenged." And then I responded, "I am not your chief. If I were, your behavior would not be this atrocious. Aside from that, you would capital words never approach my court with this level of self-righteousness and disrespect. So go speak to your chief about your grievance with this chief and let the elected officials hash it out." So basically, Negro, I'm beyond your pay grade. So you go have your boss talk to me because bosses politic with bosses, and clearly you're not, you're just a pissant. So you stop throwing rocks at the chrome. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Then I said, "This is the last time I'm going to speak on your conduct. As an older, you should know better." I used the word older on purpose. I spoke about that in my book, Grasping the Divine Power. Everybody's not an elder. Sometimes you just got simple, dumb people. He's just a simple, dumb. He was probably dumb and simple when he was young. Now he's dumb and simple now that he's older. That's all. So then Lola got into it, and she said, "Chief knows how corrupted the term has become and why. Like, are you serious?" Exclamation mark. White man want to steal our culture and ancient terms, bastardize it to suit his animalistic will, and feed it back to us as negative. Now he got you defending the BS, talking about it has negative connotation. This is why the documentary is needed, and I'd urge you to withhold statements to after you've seen it. He got sunned by a woman. Even she had more substantive, relative, logical information based on what was being said than he did. Like, she provided better examples, even though it was emotionally driven, because of course it's like you're being disrespectful. Now I want to say something interesting about this too, about what usually happens in these scenarios. Somebody will say something, it's gonna come. "Chief, you should just let that go. You shouldn't say anything because that's unbecoming of a chief to be sitting here going back and forth with someone like that." Negroes always say something when you're retaliating and defending yourself. They never say anything to the person. Like when he first started putting comments, somebody should have said, "Whoa, what you doing?" No, that's one thing I could say. Dietrich was good for that. When we had the call-in show, Dietrich would definitely used to hold it down. Like somebody would say something out of pocket, Dietrich would be quick to jump in, like, "No, no, we don't do that here." I used to like that, man. That's the security in him. Um, because I shouldn't have to do that. I can, but I shouldn't have to. But somebody's going to say that. And then when they do that, they take a fool and a non-foolish person and they equate them on the same level. Y'all need to stop. It's not y'all. Somebody's being disrespectful. You got now 3 people talking to this fool saying like, "Bro, chill out. Like, come on. You don't have to come at us like that." Negro still going. Okay. So let me see. Oh, and then I said also, "And by the way, do you really think your low IQ, grammatically poor, baseless trolling is a challenge? Do you really think I'm flustered? I would sure love to know when you and I ever sat down as equals to eat a meal and discussed who we are with one another. You don't have the intellect to get me flustered, nor do you have the scholarship. This is me kindly and graciously checking someone who is old enough to know how to purport themselves. Facebook is too important to you. You need to go for a walk and think about your statements. They are insulting, but I choose to take this moment to teach and not be insulted. There is a chief lesson for you. Maybe one day you will be able to use it." Some even giving them a little at the end, like maybe one day you'll get to this level. So here, let me give you a little gem. Just because someone says something insulting to you as a chief, You have to choose not to be insulted, but you still have to objectively see when it is offensive. It's like getting stabbed. You have to be able to say, "Oh, I got stabbed," but not bleed and not be hurt. Okay. So he's still going, of course, because the last time that last one, I came at him a little harder than I did before, because at that point, once you being disrespectful and you won't stop being disrespectful, then I'm not so concerned about your feelings at this point now, because you're not concerned about mine, right? So, and plus you're showing me that you're not a part of my culture, because if you were a part of my culture, you wouldn't be speaking that way. Just like students, when I'm with students, I don't treat them any lesser or whatever because they don't know what I know or whatever, because we all play an important part in this whole motif. If they were if if they weren't students, I wouldn't be able to be a teacher. So we're all necessary to this whole process. But once you're showing me that you can't be taught anything, and you're continuing to just spout stupidity, you're being rude, you're being offensive, you're trying to provoke me, you know um now is I don't know, gloves are off. I can't even say the gloves off because I didn't go in on them. I only said things that I knew would be pertinent to me teaching you guys this lesson later, so it was very controlled. So then he says, Chief Yuya, you know what, Chief Yuya? You have a point, and I am wrong for making this a public dialogue. I want you to see what he does each time. He delivers you what we call, I'm going to use a little profanity here because you need to hear it. He delivers what we call a shit sandwich. A shit sandwich, you have two pieces of bread, right? And inside of it is shit. And the breads represent some type of ingratiating comment or statement, like, you're doing a wonderful job, and we're all proud of what you've been doing here, but your cologne stinks. Your cologne smells like somebody spit 5 pounds of mucus into a hot bag and left it on a hot steel garbage can in a summer's day, but you're doing a wonderful job. See, that's what we call a shit sandwich. So you notice he keeps doing that because that's a little devilish tactic that people use. So that right there, you keep doing that, you're showing me that you're a devil. And you're not even a slick one, because that's an old ass technique. And you think my ego is as feeble as yours. So every time you say one of these ingratiating statements, you think I'm gonna be like, because you think I'm as dumb as you. So obviously I'm doing something wrong in my walk to give off that impression. But anyway, and I know what it is. But so he says, Chief Yuya, you have a point, and I am wrong for making this a public dialogue. Hasn't been a dialogue. I see now, well, let me just read it, not say anything. I see now this is something I should have spoken with you in a more private, one-on-one dinner setting. Ooh. But I had no idea you would go in this direction. This entire issue is an act because I like you, and I like what you do. Nevertheless, your statement that real whores house heaven is problematic. But I don't truly blame you. I blame the elders and the yes people around you. It's common for any man to make outlandish statements, but it's for an elder or a non-yes purpose to step to you and say, Chief Brother Yuya, that statement is bullshit. Again, I don't fault you. I fault the people around you, because when a certain behaviors go unchecked, that person becomes Jim Jones. By the way, disquieting doesn't mean being silent. Didn't say that. Disquieting means disturbing, unsettling, alarming. What I meant to say is, I find your passion for this word whore very alarming. Speaking of this word whore, all of this is because of this word whore. Man, let them hoes go. Now, on a serious note, I'm rereading some of my comments, and I see from my rhetoric how you could have been insulted, and for that I apologize. That's my style of speaking, brother. I didn't mean to hurt you, but if my discourse has you offended, then brother, this is your lesson. Eshu's accidents and tricks lead us down paths for us to learn how to be better humans. From my dialogue, you became defensive and threatened to block me from your space. See, brother, this is an indication. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get through this without laughing. I'm sorry. Let me start with that sentence. From my dialogue, you became defensive and threatened to block me from your space. See, brother, this is an indication that you are not as emotionally sound as you profess, and you're not as mentally stable as you think. Speaking of me being blocked from your space, brother, you don't have to do that because I won't bother you anymore. But as you already know, 6 months from now, Eshu is going to visit you again. Brother, go down this path because it will make you waggishly wiser and mentally stronger. You asked me what I want. I would like to see you not get this emotionally charged over verbiage. By the way, brother, real wives house heaven. Say wife, capitals, with the same enthusiasm as you said whore, and flash that big grin the way you did when you said whore. Wife, wife, wife. Ashe. Okay, so let's go back. Oh, God. I'm laughing because it's like, he really felt like you could tell he really thought he was flowing. Like he really was like, yeah, yeah, I'm making some good points. And he wasn't. Like he was just saying, he was sounding more and more ignorant. All right, let me address some of this. Um, this is why I don't really talk to people that much. I can't even. There's so much here. Like I can't go through all. We'll be here for hours. Let me just try to skim a little bit. This is one of the reasons why I didn't want to do a live tonight because I was like, this guy says so much stupid stuff. I was like, maybe I did like take on more than I feel like chewing right now because I don't feel like pointing out every dumb thing he said because it was so much. But we'll go through some of them. You know what, Chief? You have a point, and I'm wrong for making this a public dialogue. So then maybe that's where you should have stopped and tried to have a private dialogue. But you didn't. You kept going. So therefore, we know that that wasn't a real statement. That was hollow. I see now this is something I should have spoken with you in a more private one-on-one dinner-like setting. You know I would never sit down and have dinner with you. You know you fantasize about having dinner with people like me. So what are you talking about? What are you trying to suggest and hint at? I'm not. I'm not cool with you. You're a moron. Anybody that I'm cool with, I'm only really cool of men of warrior class, and warriors don't behave like this. I have warrior brethren, and sometimes they say stuff I don't really care for. I know I say because some of my brethren are Christians, Hebrew Israelites, Muslims, and we're just Moors. We're on different wavelengths in terms of how we move through the world. But that honor, that's why I did that whole video series about honor, the honor code, the warrior code. I did that like 4 years ago. It was behind me kind of recognizing some of the brothers in my circle. And I was like, yeah, man, nobody's on what I'm on per se. And they're not on each other's stuff. Like I don't have a whole bunch of Moorish brothers over here, a whole bunch of it's like one of each. But we never had an argument, none of that stuff. There's peace and respect between us because there's respect for that warrior code. At the end of the day, you say something stupid to a man, you come out wrong, you're gonna get hurt. That's just a baseline understanding. That right there keeps so many things at bay. Regardless of what their spiritual system is, or the religion, or the cultural investment, you're respecting the person. There's none of that here. None of that. He doesn't have an ounce of warrior energy, so I wouldn't sit and have dinner with no fool like this. To what? Hear a bunch of dumb stuff, or for me to turn it into a class and him to ask me a bunch of dumb questions? I don't think so. There's a reason I charge for consultations. You can't just call me, hey chief, I got a problem. No, you pay. Um, I should have spoken with you in a more private one-on-one dinner, like said. I don't even want to repeat that line anymore because that just sounded a little fugazi. Um, I had no idea you would go in this direction. You see what he's doing now? Now he's playing victim. He was insulting and rude from the very beginning. And everything I've done has been retaliation to what he did. So now he's going to pretend like I got all crazy and flustered and came at him. Meanwhile, he came into my space disrespectfully. It's like me going into someone's house and saying, hey, man, why don't y'all change these curtains in here? If you change these curtains in here, maybe people respect y'all more. And then the person says, you know what? Why don't you get out my house? And then I say, oh, why are you coming at me like that? So if you are that unaware of the way you present yourself, then you got a much more serious issue here. But this is like really some, I gotta say it, some female stuff. You know, say something slick, and then when somebody comes back at you, now you want to act like a damsel in distress. Oh, I didn't know you was gonna come at me like this. Come on. So he says, I had no idea you were gonna go in this direction. This entire issue is an accident. What? This entire issue is an accident. What issue? There's no issue. Unless you mean you getting checked publicly, it maybe is an issue in your life. And if so, if it was an accident, say my mistake, I'm sorry. So that line didn't even make sense. But you can tell he wanted people like to talk, man. You can tell he talks all the time. He's probably real annoying at cookouts and stuff, man. Probably one type of guys his wife got to drag him by the arm. Come on, Eddie. Come on. It's time to go. I'm so sorry. You got to apologize for her husband all the time. You can tell he's one of them. You know. Um. So yes, I am sorry I offended you. I never said I was offended. I said what you're saying is offensive, but I was never offended because why would I let a cornball get me there? See, one thing about me, I'm gonna give you the other like little trick on how like you know I don't get upset, and people always like, how you stay so cool? Somebody asked me the other day, he's like, you're always so calm. Respective person. When someone says or does something, I immediately look at the person first. I don't look at the action. I look at the person. It's just like if someone who's mentally challenged, you know, this has happened to me before. One time I was walking at a fair with a sister I was with. We just having a lovely day at the county fair. Woo, woo, woo. And we were eating some fries, and this little boy came and put his hands up in the fries and ate them. Like he was like we were walking this way, he was walking that way with his mother, and stuck his finger. I remember that picture of the his mouth like this and the fries going. It was like it traumatized, and we were like, "Yo!" And the mother didn't say anything. Like she was just like she took a tissue out to wipe his fingers, just like Ryan, and we just like she didn't turn around, apologize, nothing, right? So I can't even say that the sister I was with was about to go. It wasn't even that we were both in shock. It was like, what the hell just happened? It was one of them type of things, and we just went back to the booth and was like, yo, somebody just stuck their hands in here, and can we get another one? It was one of those type of things. So I started thinking when that happened, I'm like, okay, maybe the child was mental. He was like a big child, like probably about 8 or 9 years old, kind of a little overweight, But I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's got some mental challenges or whatever, and the mother is just honestly, well, here, let me just say, the mother just doesn't respect Moors because they look like a Jewish woman. So I'm thinking maybe she just doesn't, vibe with us like that. So she didn't really know, what to say coming back. That might get this video. So when he starts making his statements, I'm looking at him like, okay, this dude's a goofball. So why would I be offended or hurt by what a goofball says? I wouldn't. You know, you're just not. I would hate to turn around one day and feel like and know like I went there. I left my temple of peace and solace for a dork. That's just not a good look for me. So no, I wasn't offended. Um, so he said, I'm sorry you're offended, and I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. See, now he's saying these things to try to provoke me, that I hurt your feelings. So now he's trying to project and ascribe his own femininity onto me. I was gonna say something else. His B-A, but I will just say femininity. He's trying to project his own feminine nature onto me, by saying, oh, I hurt your feelings. And then he says, as a matter of fact, or liking and watching them, that I'm clearly not saying the right things because they're not for you. Uh, and then he says something I can't go through because it's so much dumb stuff. He says, nevertheless, your statement that real whores house heaven is problematic. I broke it down. I literally broke down the etymology of the word. I broke down it in its original and natural form and explained how het house, haru, heaven, means the house of heaven. It wasn't my statement. I'm reciting something. Now you can say I take exception to it. I don't even know why you would. Just shut up. That's the thing. Don't say anything. Shut up. That like that. It's really like there's no. I'm trying to figure out ways to make his insanity sane, but there isn't. Just shut the f up. You don't know what you're talking about. Then he says, "But I don't truly blame you. Who cares what you blame? You're a nobody. You're a loser. Who cares?" It's common for any man to make outlandish statements. What did I say that was outlandish if I sat there and broke it down? But because you didn't have, who's this? If I weren't so powerful, we wouldn't be. I have people for this situation. Oh, I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm not gonna do that. Wasn't a ghost phone call. I got this. Someone just texted me something. I'm not gonna say what they said, but I'll text them later. And just for anybody else listening who may also think, I don't look at this as an attack. It's not this is nothing. Because if I would have just deleted the person and blocked them, then um you wouldn't even know about any of this. Because normally that's what I do. But like I said, I'm turning into a teacher moment. So trying to just go through some of this. What I said was problematic, even though that didn't make any sense. Then he says, by the way, disquieting doesn't mean being silent. Disquieting means disturbing, and that's what I was saying. You haven't been quiet the whole time. Disquieting. I said you haven't been quiet this entire time, meaning from the moment you came into my space, you have been disturbed. But you're so dumb, you can't even, just stupid. You're dummy. What I meant to say is I find your passion for this word whore very long. Who said I was passionate about it? When I've spoken against passion in the past. But again, can't keep up with the dialogue. So just going to keep throwing out ad hominem statements, straw man arguments to try to get me down different directions. But you're just not smart enough to do that. There are people who have been able to do that in the past. You're not one of them. You're nowhere near smart enough to do this, what you're trying to do. You playing checkers, I'm playing chess. Um, then he says, I apologize. It's just my style of speaking, brother. We're not brothers. So stop. You're a colored man. We're not brothers. Because my family doesn't speak like that. We don't try to do those type of things in public. We don't try to provoke the warrior energy in each other and then sit back and try to act like it's cool. My brothers don't do that. You just a colored man. All right. So you can stop with the brother stuff. But he'll say it again just to try to be slick. But I'm just saying, these are not, when people act like that, these are not your friends or family. So don't let the little words take you down certain roads. They're not. They're devils. And I'm using the term devil figuratively because I've broken down what devil is already. I didn't mean to hurt you. Still trying to play games. I didn't mean to hurt you. Again, you couldn't hurt me. You couldn't hurt me physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, nothing. You couldn't do anything to me. You got nothing going on for yourself, Eddie. You're just not cool enough. You're not smart enough. You're not powerful enough. You're nothing. Oh, that ain't happening. But see, that's what people try to do metaphysically. They try to transform you. So if a person says enough statements like that, then what will begin to happen is you'll defend that statement, which now gives them the authority to make it. I didn't mean to hurt you. Oh, you didn't hurt me. No, I'm not saying you didn't hurt me. I'm saying you couldn't hurt me. So you don't even have, like, again, here and here. If you say, I didn't mean to hurt you, and I say, you didn't hurt me, I come down here, meaning that you have the capacity to do so. Idiot, you can't even reach me to hurt me. See, the greatest protection is to rise above your enemies, man. Not to try to figure out ways to go one on one with them. Mm-mm. You always speak about the energies raise me up, so I'm not even accessible. There's so many different people. Like I've used the example of the president before. People could talk all they want about the president, whoever the president is at the time, but you can't really do anything about it because whoever has fought and worked to make themselves the president of the country has distanced themselves so far that you don't have your gripes are nothing but just little like gnats. If that, it might even be that. It doesn't mean anything. So for a person like this, it's the same thing. Like you don't mean anything. Because anybody that rude, once you show me that level of, again, of obnoxiousness and rudeness, you immediately X yourself out my community. So now you don't mean anything to me. If you would have been respectful or something, we could have had a conversation. Chief, what does this mean? And I still would have been like, so let me give you the full of it. If he would have emailed me on the side and been like, Chief, I think this term is something such. What does this mean? In my mind, I would have been like, I ain't explaining that to you. Who are you? But I probably would have said, well, check out the documentary and check out some of the interviews we've been doing where I go in and explain what the word means. But Negro, you think I'm gonna give you a personal class just because you dumb and can't follow along? No. So I know this is another rough one. I know, but these are things that need to be said sometimes, man, because people take certain liberties that they shouldn't. Then he said, speaking of, let me see. Well, I don't want to go through it because there's just so much. There's so much stupidity. Almost like every sentence is something dumb. Almost every sentence. Like I could just pick anyone. He says, but I truly don't blame you. I blame the elders and yes, the people around you. He doesn't know me. Who do you know is around me? What are you talking about? And who cares what you blame? You haven't even qualified yourself as being credible or qualified enough to even say anything to me. The only thing that's qualified you for access to me is your Facebook account and the fact that I have a public page, which you are now blocked from. So you've lost those credentials, but that's the only thing that's gotten you into the space where you can talk. Because if not for that, you wouldn't be able to have a conversation with me because you're an idiot and you're an asshole on top of that. So when he says, I don't blame you, who cares what you blame? I don't think I would like you as a person anyway. So who cares? Now, let's see. Um, man, like I said, so much I can't. It's so much stupidness here. Then he says, and I don't fault you, the people around you, because when certain behaviors go unchecked, that person becomes Jim Jones. That's what I'm being compared with now because of his lack of understanding. And he doesn't know who's in my circle. He doesn't know what elders check me and say, I like that idea, I don't like that idea. He doesn't know me, and he never will, because I wouldn't open myself up. See, that's why I don't. People always say, Chief, you don't show pictures of this, or we don't know the names of you. No, because it's always assholes out like this. That no, I don't want them to know. Say something slick. You already kind of low key. Oh, it was in Guyana. Well, I think it was. You're right, Guyana. I thought it was Belize. You already kind of low key disrespected my children, disrespected my elders. Why would I now expose them to stupidity like yours when they may not have the filters or the wherewithal like me to step back and say, don't worry about that. That's just a moron. Just leave that alone. So now let's go. Man, there's so much stupidness here. I'm sorry. I just can't get through all of it. I don't mean to. It's like anywhere I jump in, like literally there's something stupid. This is an indication that you're not as emotionally sound because I said I'm going to block you from my space. If you can, I can go back to the original sentence. Matter of fact, I'm going to do that. He's saying because I threatened to block him from my space that I'm not emotionally sound, right? So I'm going to read to you what I actually said. And then you tell me, after he had already dissed my assistant, he came into my space being disrespectful. Then he was disrespectful to my assistant. And then I said, I'm trying to find it. I said, if you can't conduct yourself with civility in my space, I'm going to ask you to exit. If you continue on your current trajectory, you will be exited. So that shows that I am not emotionally sound because I threatened. That wasn't a threat. I'm saying you can stay here, but just be civil. Right now, you're being uncivil. It's being pointed out to you. Just be civil. You could stay, but if you continue to be uncivil, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to go. All right. But again, that's like you can't make sense of insanity. So now let's go back. So he says a thing about me being emotionally unsound and not as mental. So and again, if I'm not he says you're not as emotionally sound as you profess. I never professed that I was, but okay. That doesn't matter. And not as mentally stable as you think. How do you know what I think about my mental stability? So now again, you're just being insulting. You're a jackass. That's this, and I'm not saying jackass, moron, idiot. I'm not saying that out of anger or to insult him. I'm literally giving you a description for this type of behavior. This is moronic behavior when you're stating these baseless accusations, and when the truth, you're being confronted with the truth and saying, wait a minute, I didn't say that. I didn't say this. I said that. And you just, instead of addressing what's in front of you, you then deflect to another point and it's become even more insulting. There's a word for that, right? So let's see. He said, okay, speaking of being blocked, he said, SU will revisit you in 6 months. What do you mean, SU? What are you talking? So you think you're like, in his feeble mind, he thinks like he said something to me that really got me rattled and had me really think about my behavior. That's what he's really thinking in his ass backward self, is mine. That's what he's believing. He doesn't realize that I'm just letting you talk, idiot, because I'm going to turn this into a segment. And when one of my killer bees was about to come at him and was like, oh, I'm about to rip him to shreds, I said, no, let him talk. I said, right now, we're working on this documentary and we got a couple other projects on the table. And any energy that we put towards anything is going to go into those projects. Since I've been breaking this thing down to y'all, how many times have I said all whores go to heaven and talked about the documentary? I'm promoting my documentary right now, and I let this idiot just go off. Talk, go ahead. I'm going to still turn it into something that I want it to be. So no, I'm not flustered or angry or anything like that. Not by something on the internet. It's the internet. Like, it's the internet. It's not real. I mean, shoot, he got a picture up there of him. Clearly, he's like 15 years younger. So it's not real. Then you got yourself in makeup at Mardi Gras. And you want to have dinner. I bet you do. So, oh God, speaking of being blocked, brother, you don't have to do that because I won't bother you anymore. He keeps saying brother constantly. Brother, go down this path because it will make you waggishly wiser and mentally stronger. This does not make me mentally stronger. Interacting with dumb people make you dumber. It like they say, what doesn't kill you make you stronger? No, sometimes things that don't kill you slowly kill you. Speaking to stupid people slowly makes you a stupid person. If you engage in an argument with stupid people, you'll become stupid. You'll become an idiot if you try to argue with an idiot. That's why I didn't try to make any profound points to him. I didn't even go back and redefine any of the words he was using. If you notice, I didn't do that. I didn't give him any lessons. Everything he said, I quoted it and said, nope, didn't say that. This is what I said. What are you talking about? I made him work. but he couldn't work, so he just would keep changing the subject. But no, I'm not going to give you anything. Like, I'm not going to engage with you. You're an idiot and you're disrespectful. So you can get a class, but that's about it. So he says, by the way, brother, real wives house heaven. Seriously. Again, I broke down the word whore. I broke down het haru or hawet haru. I broke it down already. That's like you telling me Bethlehem or Bethel is just a place. And then I show you that no, Bethel, Beth or Bat means house, and El means God. So Bethel or Bethlehem, when you have hem, it means the flesh of. Bethlehem, where God's flesh is housed. No, I don't mean that. Bethlehem is where Jesus was born. You see, you have people dumb like that. So what do? You just okay, all right, okie doke. So he says the thing about wife, and it's like, what do you say? Say wife with the same enthusiasm. Why? Why would I? Why would I say that Germanic word of with the same enthusiasm that I would say het haru or whore or Horus? That's stupid. I mean, it's just he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just one of them. He's one of them old people that keep the community dumb. Like I can't reiterate that enough, because when you start introducing new information and you back it up with scholarship, their brain is done. Their brain has done everything that it can do at this point, and they don't want to be left behind. They don't want to play their role as an elder. And I don't even know if he's, like I said, I think he's around my. We look around, we're close around the same age, but I'm playing my role as an elder. And some of the younger teachers who are out and saying some things that I don't totally agree with, I don't get in their face and say, what you talking about? Because Dr. Ben said, no, that's another era. The teachers and the people I came from under, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, they're ancestors now. So we can't keep trying to keep everything at the Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark level. Things are evolving, and what I'm talking about isn't even deep. We haven't even gotten to the documentary yet. This is like the light stuff. Word meanings, and you can't even stuff that he could have just looked up, and you can't even follow along with that. Come on, man. Like, you're not qualified to be in this conversation. But like I said, wife is not really a term of honor. You've never heard me use it. Wiffery. Wife actually means the miserable one. It also means to bend, break, and to flex, to whiff, like a wiffle ball. But a wife or a whiff is not necessarily something like, if most women knew what it really meant, they probably wouldn't want to be called that, to be honest with you. It's very similar to husband, house, bond, band comes from bond, house master is husband, but the husband was, he owns everything in the house, or he's the master of everything in the house, the cattle, the wife, the possessions, the farm, everything. So when you say my husband, like he said, you should be talking about being a good husband. You're talking about being a good master. It's a master-slave relationship that you're denoting. And I don't have issue with that if the woman is with it, but she should know what she's signing up for. She's calling you husband or you're using the term wife. It's good to know what you're actually saying. And that's what the documentary is about. We're breaking down these words and explaining this culture and what's a geisha, what's a courtesan. Because when we see Oshun dancing and everything, it's so pretty and cute and being flirtatious and playful. But then when we start breaking down, well, let me tell you what that really was, the energy that gave birth and what those priestesses look like. Now it's, oh, you shouldn't say that. Why? Because your Western culture, mind, and framework tells you that it's something that's salacious. It tells you that it's something it's really because it sounds like it's against your European programming. That's why you're using terms like husband and wife. Again, you're not smart enough to follow along with this. We're beyond that at this point. You're not talking to someone who just watched a couple of Ray Hagen's videos last week, and now I'm wearing an ankh, talking about my queens, my queen. No, that's you. So anyway, like I said, there's a lot here. I'm not gonna go through this because it's not over. There's only a little bit left, though. Don't worry about it. He said, please don't. How could you have been insulted? And for that, I apologize. I never said I was insulted. Because again, I'm trying to be nice by not saying, Trigger, you too stupid to insult me. It's like that's like a drunken, inebriated person on the street saying something foul to me. I'm not gonna be insulted. I'm gonna be like, oh, they're drunk. That's how I'm looking at this guy. Like, you're just dumb. Oh, well, dumb things are gonna come out your mouth. Then he says, say wife, wife, wife. Like, dude. Then he ends it with Ashe. You didn't even put it in the right place. So you don't know what that means either. Then he addresses Lola and he says, Lola Parker, I don't know if you know this or not, but Chief Yuya don't need you to speak for him. Actually, let me read the whole thing. Give me a second. All right. Chief Yuya. All right, good. See, I'm laughing because y'all don't. So maybe some of you do, but you may not hear what I hear, and I can't say everything publicly, but I hear a lot. Lola Parker, I don't know if you know this or not, but Chief, I don't need you to speak for him. However, I will wait for that documentary. No, I am not a conduit of the white man, but okay, since you don't think the word whore is negative, are you a whore? And if so, how much do you charge? No, you're not a whore, and that's my point. Did you dream as a little girl growing up to be a whore, a wife, or a CEO? And I'm going to go out on a limb and say you didn't dream of being a whore. You shouldn't go on that limb. That branch might break, buddy. Because it seems like you like branches. But then again, maybe you did not want to be a whore in the ancient custom. If that's indeed your case, then may Oshun guide you into being a good whore. And I mean that in the ancient manner, Ashe. You stupid idiot. The whole time I've been talking about whores in the ancient manner. You dumb idiot. When I defined the word whore in that 1 minute clip, I went back to Het Haru. The Yoruba migrated out of Kemet. But either way, let's go back. Lola Parker, I don't know if you know this or not, but you don't need to speak for him. You don't need, but Chief Yuya don't need you to speak for him. Like, I'm talking to him. Get out the way, girl. I got this. Don't try to come in between us. That's how I take that. Right? That's why I'm laughing because I'm hearing some other stuff there. Like, don't bring your vagina and soft skin all up into this. This is all about tip to tip. He says, however, I will wait for that documentary. So why don't you do that and shut up? I am not a conduit of the white man, but okay, since you don't think that the word whore is negative, are you a whore? Nobody said anything about being negative. You talked about a negative connotation of the word. Now listen to how he listen to what he does. If you don't think the word whore is negative, saying the word is negative and saying it has a negative connotation is not the same thing. And she clearly said he's doing this documentary to shed light on what the word actually means, not what your emotional reference is to it. Because if you say the word Africa, when I was growing up, Africa was an insult. Black African, black was an insult. Get your black ass. You see? So until we have to learn, like, nah, that's not cool. Let me tell you what blackness is. Let me tell you what Africa ourselves off at what we were given. See, this is when people bring their stupidity into the consciousness. They bring their Western indoctrination into the consciousness. And, you know, he's one of them people. I'm not going to say what kind of person he is. And I'm not going to do that because hopefully you guys can hear it and you hear what he's proven what kind of person he is. Then he goes into the whole thing that you dream of being a whore, whatever. You don't know what the woman dreamt of. You should have waited for the answer and then kept talking, but he's not one of them. He's one of them, you know, he's sassy. So, but then again, maybe you did want to be a whore in the ancient custom. Like, what are you're not making sense. You saying, I'm sure you didn't dream of being a whore, but maybe you did want to be a whore in the ancient sense. So this whole time that we've been using the word whore, notice he didn't use the word hoe with her. This whole time that we've been talking about whorism, why didn't you notice that the distinction was being made between your modern day, as you put it, $2 whore, $2 hoe, and the ancient meaning of a whore, which is one of the very first lines I say in one of the promos. There's an ancient meaning of the word whore that's been lost. It's one of the first things I say. But again, when you're dealing with a dumb person, you can't try to use logic to try to make sense of what's being said, because dummies just, they want to pull you into dumb world. So they want to keep saying a bunch of dumb things. And he thinks he's flowing. You could tell. He thinks he's really flowing with these statements. And he's going to keep making dumb statements. And because no one's really responding to him, he's thinking he's getting us. But it's not that. While all this is going on, I'm telling everybody, chill, don't say anything. Just let it rock. I'll respond. I'm going to turn this into a video. I said that after like his second comment. Did he know that? No. He thought we were sparring. And I'm like, no, let that dummy talk. I'm going to turn it into a video. Because what I was going to do, I got the screenshots. This is a live. You can't do screenshots in live, but like Google Hangouts, you can. I was just gonna put the screenshots up, put his pictures up, and like I was gonna turn it into a whole little thing. But then part of it, I thought, I was like, man, I'm not giving this idiot all that energy for a presentation. So that's kind of why I didn't. But anyway, so he says all that stupidness. May Oshun guide you into being a good whore. So now Oshun makes whores. So if Oshun makes whores, Eddie, what's the problem? You see? So I hope y'all, and there's one more thing, and I'm gonna read it, and that's it. I hope you guys are like picking up some tools and tips from all of this and how to dissect what's being said and when it's being said. When someone asks a question like that and it answers it for you, did you dream of being a whore? I bet you did. So now you're forcing assumptive statements on me. Things that we never talked about anybody dreaming of horror. He's made certain statements and then used them later to defend them, like if they were said by someone else. Little girls don't dream of being whores. Did you dream of being a whore? No one said anything about that. What we did talk about is little girls being misunderstood because they have an innate sexuality about them. I have said that some little girls, it's not explained to them the feelings that they're feeling when they can see above and beyond. You got some little girls at 7, 8, 9 years old, they come into a room and they just know innately that they can manipulate everybody in the room. They just know it. Like, I see things that no one else in this room sees. That's some light, some horrorism already working inside of them, but it gets perverted. That's what we're talking about. But again, you're talking to a dummy, so you can't. There's no point explaining things like that to a dummy because there's no point. So I said, I'm going to close it out. I said, I gave a date, written May 25th, 2018 by you. This is what I'm writing. Written May 28th. I said Eddie Hughes, written May 25th, 2018 by you. So yes, quote unquote. So yes, I am sorry I offended you, and I am sorry that I hurt your feelings. Question mark. I mean, quote. So then I also wrote, written May 24th, 2018 by me. You see that a whole day before. Quote, I would sure love to know when you and I ever sat down as equals to eat a meal and discuss who we are with one another. You don't have the intellect to get me flustered, nor do you have the scholarship. This is me kindly and graciously checking someone who is old enough to know how to purport themselves. Facebook is too important to you. You need to go for a walk and think about your statements. They are insulting, but I choose to take this moment to teach, meaning I'm not insulted, and not be insulted. There is a chief lesson for you. Maybe one day you will be able to use it. So I'm throwing you a bone, Negro, because that's obviously what you want. You want some affection. You want a hug. So here you go. Here's a lesson. So all I did was that was a reply to him saying, "So yes, I'm sorry I offended you, and I'm sorry I hurt your feelings." You said that a day after I said that I wasn't offended, and this is what I'm currently doing. But you can't hear. You got poor listening and reading comprehension. So then I said, at this point, just stop. I was nice earlier, but you're just showing yourself to be a feeble-minded clown. You're not even using the words correctly. On top of that, you're purposely insulting. Not to mention, quote unquote, wife is not a term of honor. If you were learned, you'd know that. You have no sense of etiquette or protocol. You jump into someone else's space and begin to insult them. When it is pointed out to you in a gracious way, you continue on. This only this is only to let all reading no, this only let all reading this know that you have nothing going on in your world other than your ambition to engage individuals that in any other setting would ignore you. So now you say I'm emotionally imbalanced and hurt. Okay, I let this go on and screenshotted everything because it's a teaching moment for students. I didn't engage you because you made any points of significance. You were used for a lesson in how to handle someone who was aggressively ignorant and persistently insulting. Somewhere along the way, someone told you you could speak. That was a mistake. Now you will be exited off my page because I no longer need you for the lesson dealing with an old fool. Thank you, sir. And then I blocked him. So I always tell you there's a method to my manliness, and I'm a lot slicker than y'all might think. So meanwhile, like I said, he's sitting here thinking that I'm getting flustered and upset, and we're dueling back and forth. No, dummy. I'm just going to use you for a lesson. This is a lesson I haven't really taught. How do you deal with ignorant people? There was actually I started it. It's actually literally still on the Sadula House. What on how to present like kind of your coming out of consciousness to your family. It's like a problem that a lot of people come to me with, like, yeah, I want to set up my shrines and stuff. And like, but I was raised Christian, or my mother's a pastor, or my father's a bishop, or this or that. And I don't know how to present it to them. And that used to come up so often that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna teach a class on how to actually share that this is the direction that my life is going into. And I just never finished the class. And then I had another class I was working on, which is more like a lecture. It was like a lecture just on how to deal with belligerent people and aggressively ignorant people. Because I see so many people in the conscious collectives get frustrated. When they're dealing with people like this, it's just like they're poking and jabbing at something that's already very sensitive. Because some people came into their consciousness through a lot of pain. Some people came into it, man, because everything was falling apart around them, and they finally had found something that's working for them. And then their family or people they may know may come along and like just start poking and jabbing at them unnecessarily, cruelly, which then causes them to rethink their familiar relationships. You know, so I said, this idiot won't stop, obviously, and he's so very tickled that he's able to sit and have a conversation, like I said, with someone who in any other senses would have ignored him. He knows that. I'm sure he's tried. He's one of the people who goes to a lecture, and when the lecture's over, he won't let you leave. He's one of them. Hey man, when you was talking about spitting crackers and stuff all on your face, when you was talking about so and so, break that down for me some more, man. I'm trying. He's one of them type of people. I know because I've been doing this for a while. I done ran into Eddie was it Hughes? I had Eddie Hughes's before. It ain't no big deal. But this gave you an opportunity to see, like, I said everything I need to be said in the first paragraph. And the fact that I'm time stamping as he's going, like, you keep saying something that I didn't say. You're saying, I'm sorry I hurt you. I already said to you yesterday I wasn't hurt. But you keep saying the same thing. Then when he said the thing about being flustered, okay, now I need to tell you the truth that I didn't tell you. You too dumb to get me flustered, bro. I'm sorry. That's not an insult, but I've been playing with my food this whole time. Because if you look at my responses again, I never went in on them. I just quoted everything. Listen, you just said this and this, you just did that. So it's volleyball. And I've taught that before in a lesson. When you got people coming at you like that, just play hot potato. I'm not going to hold that. They say, oh, I'm sorry that I hurt you. Boom. You think you hurt me? Just bounce it right back. You shouldn't use that word whore. Boom. What makes you say that? You see, the word whore has a negative connotation. That's connoted to who? Well, it's connoted to everybody. Boom. Well, how can you proceed to speak for everybody? You should just boom, just keep volleying ball. Just keep pushing it back over. Keep pushing. Then eventually they'll get tired, drop their arms, and drop the ball and walk away. That's how you do it. But you're gonna find that when you're dealing with people like that and you proceed in that manner, you'll never really get fatigued. You won't get flustered. Like he's thinking, you're flustered. I'm not flustered. I'm trying to think. When do I? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna keep it 100. The only time I'm flustered and taken out of my tempo a little bit is with my children. I honestly, that's the only people on this planet that'll get me to like, oh, there's no one, not even the women in my life. Like I just don't care like that. Nah, I don't really get upset like that. I may raise my volume, but that's only on, that's because it has to be that volume. They say, hey, da, 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 da. But as far as getting to a point where I'm flustered and don't know what to say or pause for a second, I've had those moments with children, where they just being so, obstinate, or, and you're like, man, I don't want to go up this child's upside their head, and they're not listening, and then you got to pull back and say, you know what, they're their own being and they're having their own journey. And sometimes they're going to do things I don't want them to do. And, you got to kind of have those conversations with them. But that's because I actually care about them. I don't care about this idiot. I don't care anything about him because he came into my space disrespectfully. So now I don't care what you don't mean anything to me. And then let me reiterate it one more time. It's on the internet. Plastic avatars. You're not getting the real of people on the internet. You're not getting the whole and the real of me on the internet. So if you take up some information to see me and you say, oh, I know Chief, you don't know Chief. We haven't sat down and done anything. Have we hiked in the woods? Have we eaten a meal together? Have, we talked about each other's families and talked about life plans and things like that? Probably not. So you don't know me. That's why, for the most part, for most people, this stuff is just entertainment. I'm like an actor. But yeah. So I'm gonna go through the comments real quick. Because I had asked anyone if they, I wanted to give people an opportunity to kind of share maybe some of what they've known. Let me go back. Lady in Mauve says, but don't people say it ain't tricking if you got it? LOL. I'm over his stance. People say it ain't tricking if you got it. You're talking about the whole and the tricking thing. But here's the thing with that I say, if you ain't got it, you can't trick. So it's tricking because you got it. So yeah, a trick is never something you want to be, man. If you are, go ahead, be a trick. It's never something that I've been and never something I'm going to be. And I ain't never been turned out by no hoe. Not at all. Not at all. There have been certain things I've been turned out to, certain understandings and stuff like that. But Buy a hoe? No, I've never had a hoe. Eh, Shit, I mean, I don't even go through my history because it's not relevant right now. But nah, if you got it, you tricking, and you're still tricking. But hey, we need tricks, man. Tricks help to keep money in people's pockets, help keep people's lights on. Um, Suzanne says it seems to be a sensitive subject for him. He's just a sensitive guy, Suzanne. But I don't even think it's that. I think it was just he's excited to be talked, for someone to be acknowledging him. That's what trolling is about. You jump on somebody's thread or something, you say something foul, and try to provoke them to respond to you and speak to you. And if it works, you're excited. Oh, Chief actually is talking to me. I didn't have to pay the money for a consultation to actually get him to talk. And you're thinking in your mind that I'm opening up my mind to you. And now you want to challenge me because the very fact that I talked to you now makes you think I done came down off the mountain or I never was on that mountain. And the reverence that you looked at me with, now because I responded, you're like, well, maybe he's not that. But he is. And I know this is going to be an arrogant sounding segment, but I mean, it is what it is, man. Like I said, when you own your own situation, you don't always have to play behind a facade of humility or false humility. I know who I'm smarter than. I know who I'm more advanced than, and I know who's more advanced than me and who's smarter than me, and I govern myself accordingly. You know, it's like what Cat Williams said about Kevin Hart once years ago. He was like, "Nah, I know who I'm funnier than," and he was like, and then he referenced Dave Chappelle. He was like, "And I know who's funnier than me," you know. But don't try to jump, like jump up and puff your little chest, like, no, no, Negro, sit down. Uh, Lowe says hoes go for $2 now. Guess I'm gonna have to lose these last $2 then. Well, a prostitute will go for $2. Yeah, a prostitute will go for $2. You know, um, there's people who prostitute themselves for likes, like my video, like my picture, and they'll do anything for that, man. So yeah, man, prostitution comes cheap nowadays. But you notice the title of the documentary is not all prostitutes go to heaven. I barely even talk about prostitution. Talking about whores, excuse me, got me saying. Um, Lady and Mom said, I stopped trying to quote unquote reason with people who aren't my loved ones. Good for you. About a year ago, it's draining, and most want to argue just to feel they are right. Exactly. They want to argue too to see if you've really grown beyond them or if they're still okay. Because nobody likes to be left. But that's good, and I don't try to reason with people like that. I don't do the convincing thing. Um, but as a teacher, sometimes you got to take one for the team. You got to sometimes let people go a little wild on you, and let them think they're doing something that they're not doing. Just like sometimes little things you got to do, or answer phone calls on a live show with people calling and asking dumb questions, and and not tell them it's a dumb question. That's just a part of being, a leader. Um, Lowe says his response is so textbook female. I know. Total deflections. Not truly, honestly taking accountability. Unapologetic apologies. I'm sorry if I hurt you, but what? Nobody said anything about me being hurt. I said you were rude, but you didn't apologize for that. Is that 14 JTR says, is that a man or a female? Good question. Because he is in New Orleans. And New Orleans has got some of the most put together trannies. They rival Atlanta. I don't know. It's definitely not a man. So I don't know. Peace, Talisha. Talisha says maybe he's jealous because he doesn't have the courage to do what you do or be free, be who you are. Of course, that's what it is, Talisha. You know, we've been through that one. You know that. You know that better than most. Lady and Mauve, the man is prowling the internet for some type of entertaining interaction. He typed way too much, in my opinion. His fingers didn't hurt at some point. Right. See, that's that old man. See, like when you get to a certain age, you have to know. They sit on Facebook all day, starting arguments, joining arguments, and not realize that, you know, Facebook started for college kids. It's for kids. If you're 40, 50, 60 years old, do some old fly man, some old man fly stuff. Go drive around in your Lexus and get on your boat, go out on your boat with your wife for the day, go do a banquet at the church or the Masonic Lodge, go help with one of the dinners there and initiating one of the brothers in. But when you get to a certain age, your stance and your swagger has to change and it has to fit the age that you're at. That's why I'm not up here like, yo, I'll punch you in your face, you say one more word. That would just look stupid. Like I'm not at that age where I need to be threatening somebody or something. That's just stupid, and it's not even that important, you know. But at this age, what's fly for me at my age is to show people how to handle situations like that. That's the fly thing for an older guy like me. When I was younger, well, heck, when I was younger, I wouldn't have been on the internet like that. So, I was on the street, doing things, and so not bad things per se when I see, because most times we say street, people think, but I mean the street like I was out on the pavement trying to make life happen for myself. So I wouldn't really have time to sit and do all this. And when I was younger and all that testosterone is built up, yeah, a guy talked to me like that, like I'm feeling threatened at that point. You telling me I look pathetic and you're saying fighting words, but at this age, it's like, okay, well, let me just show you this, or I just click the block button. So a lot of times people don't know how to transition, and I find like Facebook in particular has become a graveyard for older people. They find their high school sweethearts and stuff like that, and they're able to present again a certain image of who and what their life is about and their children and this and that, and then it's not really about all of that. It's really pretty sad if you think about it. It's pretty sad because like, yeah, man, you should be trying to link with a brother and say, look, man, I see some things about this subject. Maybe I can help you with this. Would you mind talking about it? Right? You should be trying to build. Unless you just think I'm a scumbag, but he said I was righteous. Again, who are you to judge? Nobody knows you, Eddie. You know, I can find 15, 20 people right now that will stand in front of a firing squad and say, Chief Yuya is a stand-up guy. And 15, 20 people who know my other nicknames, which I'm not going to say them online, but who know my other names. Yeah, he's stand-up guy. Yeah, when I needed him, he was there. Yeah, so you saying I'm disappointed or I don't blame you, don't matter. You don't matter. Not to me, at least. Um, let's see. Y'all laughing at the homoerotic thing. Peace, Fase. Lo says, I bet Punk from Metairie or Kenner. Yeah, I don't know them areas. I think Metairie, yeah, that's down there in Louisiana, huh? He ain't got no game in him. Exactly, Lo. Yeah, I know you love me, Talisha. Why wouldn't you? I'm very lovable. Yeah, of course he ain't got no game. You could tell. That's why he's like, you need to be saying white. He sound like an old trick. That's honestly, like I was trying to be nice and not really say. He's got this real simpish vibe about him. He just sound like an old trick. Say it, wife. Why the F would you be promoting marriage? You come onto the Sedula House website. It's a website for deep thinkers, and you're promoting Western marriage. Say wife. Hell no. Come on, get out of here, stupid. We're beyond that. We're not looking. I'm not promoting and pushing husband and wife. I push commitments and unions and even some forms of marriage. I don't even like to use the word marriage because it's not a pretty word. But I do push commitments and I'm in committed relationships. But wife and husband, where are you getting your vocabulary from? I already know, but Lo says that's why I worded the comment the way. Oh, like I did. Right, your comment. I wanted to read your comment. I feel like I might. I feel like y'all might be read out though. I don't want to wear you out with it. But I really liked your comment, man. Maybe I might have to put it in the next one. I respect the rank and wasn't going to offend you. And plus, I thought about it first and read it more than once. Right. See, so Lo is saying, I respect your rank, Caesar Chief, but it doesn't mean that he's any less of a man. He's just saying that, well, if I'm going to come into this environment, just like if I came over to Lo's house, I'm going to take my shoes off. you know, I'm not going to walk through his house. I'm not going to say, well, because I be teaching you stuff on the internet, and like you said, I'm always on point, man. I'm gonna go upstairs. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna stand if he says, "Hey, please come in." If he leaves me in the foyer area, I'm gonna stand there until he say I can come into the living room or whatever, or the dining room and sit down. I'm gonna respect him because now I'm in his kingdom. Even if we're on the street, and my students can attest to this, man. I've never gone crazy on them. The ones who weren't disrespectful to me, but I call them Baba so and so. They're with their children. Hey, Baba so and so, or their wives. Hey, Ia. I'm gonna respect them as people. You know. So a dumb person who's never made it anywhere in life doesn't understand that. Because they don't understand. In order to get somewhere in life, you have to have an understanding of customs and manners and mores. Because if you're traveling amongst other people, you have to listen long enough to figure out what you're supposed to be doing first. You know. Dinner, get your sweet potato. Oh, Lord. Justice says, huh? There's a lot of huh. You know, that's some shit my mom would say. The Lord will handle you. Yeah, you know, Lady and Mom. But the internet is all some people have. You're absolutely right. It's all some people have. Listen, if you're a quadriplegic, well, shit, even if you're that, get out the house. There's ways to get out the house. For some people, I understand if you're sick and infirm. I have a very close brother like that right now. Had a double stroke, and I was like really pushing and trying to get because his computer went out and stuff, and like his mind is just not. He's not where he needs to be yet. Matter of fact, I gotta message him. I just remember he texted me earlier, but so I was trying to get his computer. I was like, man, at least you can get on the internet so you can kind of stimulate your brain a little bit. He was like, oh man, that's beautiful. So yeah, in a situation like that, like yeah, but for some people, their job is all they have, and their job because they want to go to lunch with you all the time, and if you go to lunch with somebody else, they get all offended because that's where all their social interaction happens. Um, if that's your situation, okay, but that's not my situation. Okay, so again, we're not the same person, Eddie. Like I put in the note, Facebook is too important to you. This is important to you. It's not important. You know, I when I close, yeah, she's important to me. Let's build when you get a minute. Got your music, smiley face. About time. I sent some music to the sister to write to. And I hadn't heard back from me. I was like, she didn't like any of the tracks, but she did. It's my old assistant. When I had my label, we known each other for years on top of years, man. Real good sister. But what was that? Yeah, man. For some people, this is all they have, man. Madam Ma'at says no walk would be long enough for Hina. Reminds me of the lecture on signs of the underdeveloped or the undeveloped, right? My eyes are squinting. Um, I think there's undeveloped, right? I did a lecture on signs of the undeveloped to try to get an understanding of when people are not really evolving to a space and they're trying to bring you down to a space and how to see it coming a mile away and how to deal with it. But yeah, no walk would be long enough for he. You're absolutely right about that. Um, when I said, and she's referring when I said you need to take a walk and think about what you're saying. And she's like, no, no walk would be long enough. True. Um, Lowe says the best way to trick is if you got it. Y'all back on that. Okay, yeah, trick. Go ahead, man. I got, I got things I'm trying to buy. Um, Alima, peace, Alima. Thomas said, yeah, I bet he was really hype, foolish thinking. Yeah, I'm sure he was like, I got the chief on the line. I'm tearing chief up. You're not tearing me up, dummy. It's like when you write I write creative stories. I write scripts. When you're writing a script, you always have to know the ending before you begin writing, and you write from the ending backwards. Like if you're doing a web series or anything like that, so that way there's a proper arc in your story, and you're not just writing in circles. So even if I'm engaging someone, I already know what the end is. I knew the end was I'm going to get him to expose every stupid thing he's going to say. Wait till he's pretty much at the pinnacle of all the dumb stuff, and then I'm going to block him. I knew that after the second message. So when you know your destiny, you know where you're going, you don't get flustered, you don't get angry, you don't even panic. Because like, no, I still have more to go. This story's not over, or I can control the rate, the rhythm, and the pace of the actual game, you know. Uh Dietrich, are we down to Dietrich? Yeah, Dietrich says, JB says he's someone's wife. Y'all are worse than me. But clearly, you could tell. You could tell like he's pee-whipped. You could clearly tell that. Like there's a lot that's what I'm saying. I can't pick there's a lot that I didn't want to say about each statement because I don't want to treat y'all like y'all little kids. Like, and then they say, and you don't even understand the context, and you talking to me like I'm a child. You don't even know if I have a wedding, but you're just talking. Anyway, so Diedrich says, Abu Aboye, Chief Modupe for the game scholarship. Sounds like he's trying to validate his lifestyle at your teaching's expense. Very homoerotic to try to get light from a true scholar. Right. Because some people only know how to get light through conflict. So they want to know something. And instead of humbly saying, what does this mean? Or asking, I should say. Because like he tried to cop a plea. He was like, I was simply asking questions. You didn't ask one question up until that point. You came in saying he needs to do it this way, he needs to do it that way. There were no questions. If you had asked questions, it would have gone different. You could even say, what does this mean? What is it? You know, that could have, if people learned how to ask questions, man, it could avoid so many bad situations I've seen happen, and even in relationships, sometimes you'll say something and a person will flip and go off the deep end. And I've had that happen before in relationships. And then I turned around and I said to the person, like, that's not what I was saying to you. Well, that's how I took it. But that's not what was being said. Wouldn't it have been better if you would have just asked a simple thing? What do you mean? You know how many conflicts we can avoid just by asking, what do you mean? And I mean, even when someone is coming at us as the aggressor, when they say something that's like out of pocket, what do you mean? Those are my two go-tos. Who are you talking to? What do you mean? You're not gonna put me in the seat of defense. I'm gonna put you right back in that seat. Explain yourself. If you're coming at me and you're coming at me foul, what do you mean? What are you saying to me? Who are you talking to? Do you know you're talking to me? Maybe you're imagining something in your mind. Because usually when people come at you foul like that, they can do it in a passive aggressive way on the internet. They could do it via text or instant message because it's very passive aggressive. They'll go off. Or if they're in your presence, they'll be staring at the floor, looking at the sky. I'm saying though, but every time I try to tell you, and then they start yelling because but then I always do the thing where I get in there. What? Who you talking to? Look in my eyes. And not on some like I'm gonna whip your ass, but like on some like there's a person standing in front of you. Like Should you just be screaming at another being? Just think about the cruelty of that. There's another being standing in front of you that you have a disagreement with, and you choose to attack them. I don't want to say attack, assault. You choose to assault them with the energy of your words. And I do understand that sometimes people do things where they need to be put in check, but even that, it's short commands. I know some of my women on the line listening, and they'll tell you, yeah, when it gets to that point, he gets real quiet. When I get quiet, they know they're in trouble. And then after that, if I have to say anything, it's short. It's short and sweet. Sit down. No, stop talking. This is what you're gonna do. Boom. Short. Using all those words like that, man, you're just trying to pick a person apart. Don't do that to people. I don't care what they, and if what they've done is that bad, then you shouldn't be saying anything to them. Get away from them. But don't try to leave people unwhole like that. That's just very cruel. You shouldn't do that to people. Um, let him Jim Jones for the cigarette, and right before he takes a puff, tell him no smoking. Yeah, man. So yeah, it's just a lot of times you deal with people like that in your conscious walk, man. And the first thing you want to do, like I said, play volleyball. When they come at you funny, like whether it's your family, your friends, or whomever, and they're saying, for anything you're doing, it could be the way you're wearing your hair, or maybe you change your name, or whatever. Most of the time, if you're doing something with conscious intention, and we live in a world where most people don't, the way you can put a monkey wrench in a lot of times of the machinations of people who are trying to be disrespectful is to simply ask them to explain what they're saying. That stops everything. What do you mean? Oh, so now what? You supposed to be righteous now? Huh? Huh? You don't watch a couple of lectures? Huh? Huh? You supposed to be brother so and so? You righteous now? What do you mean by righteous? You know what I mean? Like, you dressing different, you eating different and stuff like that. Well, yeah, though, I'm doing those things, but I didn't say I was righteous, But then again, what do you mean by righteous? Trying to act like you said. See, just keep them working. Then eventually they'll stop. They'll be like, yeah, all right, you know what I mean. Do you know what you mean? And then just change the subject. That's how you deal with it most of the time. I'm telling you, it works every time. Or a situation like someone like he's a fool, so he'll just keep going. But his thing wasn't really about the debate. It was about soaking up all his masculinity. He wanted all his man energy on him because he ain't got none of his own. Because like I said, men don't do that. If I see a man do something that I don't agree with, I just don't agree with it. It's just like someone asked me that recently about homosexuality, and they were like, well, Chief, what do you feel should be done about the homosexuality? I said, if you don't agree with it, don't do it. And he's like, what are you doing? I don't sleep with men. That's my response to it. I don't have to go out beyond myself now and tell a man if he's attracted to another man, say you shouldn't like that guy. Like the girl. Doesn't the girl's better. Don't like the guy. And I understand the science of it. I understand, I've read the homosexualization of Black boys and the homosexualization of America, and I know the information. I know where it comes from, you know. Um, but at some point, you have to focus on the imperatives that's in front of you. And the imperatives that's in front of me says, you know what? It's better that I focus on my behavior and what I need for kingdom building, and then share my template with other people before I start trying to tear down what other people are doing. And I may not have established my own templates first, And this is a prime example that, like, when he said, if you want to be respected as a chief, and I asked, are you a chief? Because what do you know about being respected as a chief? Do you even know what a chief is? You know, let alone, do you know if I'm respected as a chief? Do you know if I care if I'm respected? And I asked all those questions because it's a stupid statement. If you want to be respected as a chief, then you have to. So now, like, you're blackmailing me almost into behaving in a way that you feel is befitting of me based on your awareness, and who is, again, giving your awareness the credentials of the standard of how people should see things happening. It's just like, I'll speak about manhood, being a man, and like I said, well, some of this stuff is unmanly. Now you have every opportunity to say, no, this is where it is. Okay, maybe it is manly for you to be on someone else's page riffing with a woman, because that by itself is non-heterosexual. You don't argue with a woman. You know, like Lola said what she said, and then you trying to, well, are you a whore? What? Like you wilding. Honestly, you wilding out now. Um, as a man, you're not gonna see me riffing with a woman. Why? I don't riff with subordinates. Now, as a man, I'm strong enough to say that. Now, most people say, "What you mean subordinate?" See, he one of them type of men. Yeah, he is. But don't worry, you got Eddie Hughes. You got guys like that. He'll probably call you a queen and a goddess. He probably doesn't know that there's a difference between Queen and Quean. He probably thinks it's the same word. He probably doesn't even know that the word queen means whore, and that the word queen and coin are from the same derivative. So the queen was always the one that represented where you got your money from, which associated her with the whore. It'll be in the documentary. He probably doesn't even know that. But if I said that, he'd be like, that's crazy. That's outlandish. Really? I mean, I could prove it within 2 minutes. I could show you the etymology, the word breakdown within 2 minutes, you know? So, yeah, it's just unmanly, man, to be riffing on the internet, or really for men to be arguing anyway. Don't argue. You know, if your differences are that strong, then that should give you enough cause and motivation to establish your own society. Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry, Lo. Hold on. You posted something. I hit hide by mistake. I didn't mean to hit hide. Uh, oh, my bad. Turn that thing off. They got this thing where, like, that's what Lo just said. I put it in there. They got this thing where you can kind of moderate certain language, and I just click yeah, but I don't like it because then I gotta. Anytime somebody says whore or something, I gotta approve it. But and I don't care, so I would turn it off when I figure out how to do it next time. I wonder if I can turn it off now. No, but yeah. So yeah, like I was just saying, like, and we're gonna talk about that. Actually, kind of was stimulated by you, Lo. Lo had asked me a question one time in my Instagram inbox, and it was a little thing we were saying, and he said, "Well, what should men be doing?" You might not even remember when you asked me that, Lo, but I didn't answer you. I said, "Well, I'm going to be speaking about that," and I'm currently working on a book dealing with that, but I also have a lecture. It's not even a lecture; it's really a workshop that I'm working on for men and women. Speaking of that, madam, I got to talk to you about something, but about what men should be doing. He said, I do. I thought you forgot. Nah, man, I never forget. I got a good memory. Mm-mm. Um, but that's something I've been wanting to address. It was such a pure question. What should men be doing? And we're gonna get into that. But so I'm just like really pointing out little things, little small things now. Like, yeah, that behavior was really unmanly. To be riffing like that, you're trying to provoke and antagonize someone. You're trying to play a game of chess with someone, and they haven't even sat down at the table with you. And you're like, yeah, I want my chief. I'm not your chief, player. And if you think I'm your chief, then clearly you don't know what one is. You know, just like when I talk about students, I only have a handful of students, actual students. Um, but yeah, as far as like how we have to move as men, man, when we get into that space where there's that staunch disagreement, then you carve out your own space. Like Dietrich is on the line. He's a good example. He's someone I told years ago, like, yeah, you need to have your own group, start your own study group, because he's very opinionated and he's very directed in what he wants to do. So therefore, you don't need to be trying to come underneath someone else's tutelage and someone else's instruction. Start your own way, even if everything you're talking about isn't right. You will attract other people who think like you. That's how clans are formed. And maybe y'all will just be wrong together, or you'll evolve together, but that's okay. But men shouldn't be trying to co-opt each other into their own perspectives. That's not healthy. Teacher says, like swimming upstream, fighting the current instead of building a dam and redirecting the flow. Yeah. Lowe says, I tell myself women don't play with a full deck and they don't play fair, so don't argue. Some might say that, you know. But you shouldn't argue with a woman because she loses respect for who you are. Arguments destroy intimacy, and even though we talk about the whole idea of like makeup sex and stuff like that, it just becomes really brutal and animalistic. But as far as the actual intimacy between you and that person, you lose it with every argument. Just a tidbit to eventually there's none left. So it's best, and sometimes in relationships, as a man, you got to be very directed, and you got to say, like most women, I tell them, don't text me. Like when we're first getting to know each other, whatever, don't get into that habit because I know it breeds opportunity for passive aggressiveness. So one day you're going to want to say something to me, or you're going to be quiet on the phone. And as soon as we hang up, I had a sister like that recently. I'm glad I had to, but we'd be on the phone all the time and she'd be dead silent. And I don't like being on the phone. So I would be like, oh, you ain't talking? I'm going, I'm out. She's like one of them people like to sit on the phone, not talking. It would do that for like 4 or 5 minutes. So I would just put the phone on speakerphone, leave the room, whatever. And she'd still be sitting there silent. I'm like, a little touched. But then as soon as I'd hang up, there'll be all these messages, all this nasty stuff. And, but we get back on the phone, silent. I said, this is creepy. I can't do this. This is creepy. Um, but it breeds that text culture. It breeds passive aggressiveness. So that's just an example. Sometimes you have to do things to and the way you joke and play with each other. She may say something that you don't really like, or you may, you can almost friend zone yourself in that way by allowing certain playful things to happen between you and it. Like, let's say hitting each other. Maybe y'all like wrestling or whatever. I've only had really one woman ever that I could really play with like that, but who knew when to stop. And the only reason I had to play with her like that was because she really was testing me when we first met. She was a martial artist too, and just used to being able to handle guys. And she would like do little things, like try to push me up against the wall or something, you know. And I remember one time we were with some of the other sisters, so it was like 4 sisters, and she did that crap again, and I knew she did it in front of them to like watch this, you know. And I yoked her up something like I put her in a crazy arm lock, and like it was clearly painful, right? And she didn't want to tap. I was like, you better tap out. She didn't want to tap out. But I'm turning her, like I got her locked up. I'm turning her to the other sisters, and they're like, "Oh my God!" They like, "Baba, let her go, Baba." I was like, "Nah, she better tap out," you know. But I had to let them see, like, first of all, she knows what she's doing. She's a lot tougher than y'all. But I had to make it clear to her, like, okay, now, so when it's serious, don't do this. Don't do this. Like when you really one day might get upset with me or something, because she used to just play around with me like that, like it's almost funny. But like I could say something and she'd be like, "What you say?" She'd be like, "Say it again." Say it again. You know, like messing with me. And then next thing you know, she's trying to like pick me up and slam me or something stupid like that. You know, and of course she never could, but she would try. But I had to do that to let her know, like, okay, now if this ever a serious situation, don't put your hands on me. Like, let's not do that. You know that at any moment I can hurt you if I want to, so don't do that. You know, so sometimes you got to set the precedence like early on, but you don't do it angrily, like I told you don't, you know, because you don't want it to be that later. You know, some women are more physical. Some men. Now I suggest women don't do that. Not every man has the control that I have. You don't want to anyone to get used to violating your personal space like that, because yeah, absolutely, when there's an argument, that's the first thing that's going to happen, you know. But sometimes yeah, you have to like establish certain things just to keep the sanity and the protection of of your relationship. And sometimes they don't understand, like when I tell women don't text me, sometimes they're like, what, why can't I text you? Like almost like if I'm stripping them of a privilege that they're used to, you know. Or I don't necessarily usually call women what everyone else calls them. So let's say if their name is I don't know, Nakia. I won't call you Nakia if the world calls you Nakia. I'll have my own name for you. And women who are in my life, they're not, there's certain thing they're gonna call me, you know, because we're establishing our own personal contract, and you're already establishing the aura in the sense of like what we have is ours, and it's not to be put on public display, you know, even though the public may see us together, but that's a separate kind of relationship. But amongst us, we have our own thing happening, you know. And that's just a part of etiquette and protocol, and making sure that respect is there. You know, it's really, it's like a form of protection, almost to a degree. Um, Justin says yes, it does breed passive aggressiveness. Lo says she a text thug. Some are, but this one wasn't. She was on. In fact, I spoke about her recently. That's the one who would be knocking women out, you know, and like it'd always be a, like she would just be flying with them hands. Beautiful sister too. You would never look at her and think she was like that. Just, you know, she didn't, you know, she had no face scar. Maybe she did. I don't think so. But she was just like really, you know, brolic, kind of walk with a little roll. But you know, like I say, sometimes the universe helps people. Now, not 0 to 60. The other one who I said we were out one time, she cracked this sister, and it was actually a turn on, but I had to like berate her for always being so physical. 0 to 60, now she was a model. She was a little dainty thing, you know. But you know, so yeah, you know, sometimes, but I used to say like the universe really did you a favor, because if you looked the way you acted, you look like Kimbo Slice. Like she was really beautiful, so you would never know that she was as like not only as brolic as she actually was, but that she was so well trained, you know, because she could fight, like fight for real, you know, not girly fight. Deal with that later. But yeah, sometimes the universe gives balance in that way, you know. But yeah, so I'm just saying, like sometimes certain things, yeah, she actually was, yeah, the Shango woman, exactly. The Shango, my Shango sister, man. That was my partner and everything, boy, ride or die. But she got a little too much with that Shango, and it's time for you to, you know, keep it moving, man, because now it's getting dangerous, you know. Um, Dietrich said, I never forgot that, Chief. The next step in my manhood development is being okay with my wrongness and look at it as a learning and teaching experience as opposed to wasting time being wrong. Yeah, you know, we make mistakes, and it's really about, like you said, the lessons, you know, and you're absolutely right. Learning it, it's just a learning and teaching experience. You're always going to be wrong. Every moment of the day. You probably wearing something you shouldn't be wearing right now. You probably got pesticides all in the shirt you got on right now, and it's soaking in your skin and causing damage to your body. You might live somewhere right now where the soil is emitting toxic gases. When we're in the realm of wrongness, and the wrongness is what we want to explore too, because like I said before, a lot of times we have to do those wrong things because we haven't done it before. How else will you have a well-rounded circular experience? In order to get that well-rounded experience, you have to do all the right and all the wrong around that circle. And sometimes you don't get it all in one lifetime. So in one lifetime you might come, you might do everything right. Next lifetime you come, you do everything wrong. And now that completes the circle. Or you might be engaged in activities or a lifestyle that other people may disagree with, but they may not understand that you're not just what you are in this dispensation, but you have thousands and thousands of lifetimes where you have to come and represent different archetypes. So maybe in this lifetime, you might be a killer, or you might be a thief, or you might be engaged in an alternative lifestyle that people may not agree with because you didn't do it before. So ultimately, everybody does everything, So when you have those mistakes and you experience them like that, you really do have to kind of learn to embrace it, because it's like, okay, cool, I did that now. So that's scratch that off. I'm good now. Now let's go to the next thing. And then it almost becomes like a beautiful adventure. It's like getting lost on a beautiful, desert road in Arizona. It's like, man, I don't know where I am. I'm scared. I got a half tank of gas, but I ain't gonna die out here, and I can say I was here. I may never come back here, but I can say I was here. I've traveled all over the United States doing the work that I do, and I swear I've been in places that look like literally. If you ever seen the movie Psycho with the Bates Hotel, I've stayed at a place like that before, and I swear it looked just like the movie, like little nasty, little ratty hotel. Some of the rooms were abandoned. Some of them actually you could like it was that bad. Like some of them, like the door was broken off, but then it's like, oh no, you can't stay in number 7, but number 2 and 3 are the ones you can stay in. And then you go in, and it's like, as soon as you walk in, roaches like, oh, I've stayed in places like that. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about staying like I had to live there, but I mean, shoot, I've lived in places that weren't that much better. But I can say I did that. So that's a part of being able to allow life to travel through the multiplicity of the archetypes that life can represent. You don't want life just to be one thing and to lie. Like when he said, "Oh, that's unbecoming of a chief." What kind of chief? What kind of chief? Because each division in life has its own chief. Even when you go to a village, you go to a village. In most villages I've been on the continent, and I've been in a lot of countries on the continent. I've never been in a village where there was only one chief. Never. There's always different chiefs over different things, whether it be development, whether it be the farmers, whether it be the fishermen, whether it be this, that, there's different chiefs. So if I'm becoming of what kind of chief? Warriors need their own chief. Whores need their own chiefs. Thieves have their own chiefs. Criminals have their own chiefs. So when you try to limit someone to your single-minded perception of the world that you live in, it's like being stuck in one chakra. I'm stuck in the root chakra, so the entire world experience has to reflect the root chakra. So when someone comes and they're vibrating with the throat chakra, let's say, you're gonna say, no, you need to be doing this red stuff. It's unbecoming because it's correspondences. So for instance, the root chakra corresponds with the crown chakra, right? So you may say like, okay, well, cool, you may look at the crown and be like, well, if you're a chief of the crown, you should look like a chief of the root. That's not going to be the same thing. The chief of the root is going to be a lot more aggressive and a lot more driven than the chief of the crown, but they're both chiefs. So each reality gives you a flavor and gives you a template of what you're supposed to be to exist inside of that reality. And then for some of us, we may break out of all of those realities and say, well, we're doing something different that has yet to been done. So if you're really reflecting and moving from the soul, you become non-judgmental and you say, okay, well, I'm just observing. And that's it. You know, Dietrich says, sounds like the red roof on Fulton Industrial. I don't know about that one. Learned a whole lot. I had no business there, clearly, other than the learning. Right. Amra says, so true. You can expand if you're stuck in the box. Some can, right? Exactly. That's the whole thing. We're stuck in the box right now. Right now, you're stuck in the box. The box is called humanity. Spirits are thoughts. And when thoughts manifest into something physical, they're now the potential of what they can be becomes very limited. So in this lifetime, you're not going to be a fox. You're not going to be a cloud of air in this lifetime. You know, um, you're not going to just be a spirit that gets banished. You're going to be what you're encased to be, and then you can expand that as far as it can possibly go. Now, how far can this box of humanity go? We don't know. That's why lifetimes keep occurring, because the creator supreme intelligence is saying, I could do a little more. I could do more. I could do more. I could do more. So every time we try to limit ourselves to something archaic or something ancient or something in antiquity, we don't realize that what we're doing actually is we're atrophying the parts of what we are. We're not allowing ourselves to fully stretch out to what we can be. Sometimes we get a thought in our mind, and then what immediately sets in is the guilt of our programming is saying, I shouldn't be thinking about like that. So I may say, hey, I'm going to do this documentary, All Horrors Go to Heaven. Oh, but what are they going to say? Well, luckily, I got my chip is broke. I don't give a damn what they say. I'm doing it. And anything else I think of doing, I'm doing it. Because 9 times out of 10, whatever it is that people say I shouldn't do after I do it, and they see how successful it is, they want to come to me and learn how to do it. People said that to me when I started practicing plurality. Now it was okay. I remember one of my I mean, he wasn't an older, but he was like a big brother to me. Years ago, I was probably like 19, 20, somewhere around that. And I remember I was with this sister at the time. We had a very serious relationship. Um, we were on our way, like really, and we did become very serious. But I remember he was like, "Yeah, man, you got a good woman there, man. I like what you guys are doing, and you doing a lot of good things." He was like, "Yeah, you get her, you marry her, she be your woman, then you get your girl on the side, man. Things will be smooth." So he's giving me like OG big brother advice on like this is how you set your life up, like because at the time I had businesses and stuff, and she had a good job. So he's like, you're straight. Like all you need to do, you lock her down, you get married, have your girl on the side, and life is good. And for many, that's completely acceptable. Even when he said it, I wasn't vibing with it. I'm like, girl on the side. I don't like how that sounds. Like I'm not feeling that. For what? Like why do I need a girl on the side? Like she could just come home with us. Like why would I do that? If I need a girl that bad, like is it because I need extra vagina? And if I need extra vagina, one isn't gonna be enough. Because if I can get tired of one, I can get tired of two. So, why would I do that? But for him, and he was giving it from the heart. So I wasn't like, man, get out. I appreciated him giving me the best of what he felt to give a young man at that time. But even when I was like, well, I'm gonna do things this way, people was like, oh, you crazy, until they saw me do it. Until they're seeing like, damn man, he just drove up the block in a Tahoe with 4 women in the car. And nobody's riffing, and they all, you know, they all went back into the house together. And no, there's no arguments. Everything is cool. And then they come to me, how are you doing that? Don't they get jealous? Don't they? Da, 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 da. Oh, now you want to know how to do it. But you told me I shouldn't have did it. You told me to get married and cheat on my wife. So a lot of times if you limit your humanity to people's last point of programming, you'll pretty much waste your life. You pretty much will waste it. You want to live your life, live it to the fullest, man. You came here to expand, and everybody comes with their own nature of idea. Dietrich is a good example. Like one time he was sharing a business idea he had. Let's see, and I might get it wrong, Dietrich. You can correct me, but it was a botanica slash food cart. If I'm not mistaken. I think he wanted to, yeah, have a mobile botanica and have food on it at the same time, right? Um, and he said this like a while ago, so I could be wrong, but I think that was it. When he first said it, he called into the show and was talking about it, and I'm like, huh? Like a botanica, and you're gonna be selling food and on a truck, So I didn't see the vision, right? And I don't think he's ever started it, but that's what he was doing. But I was like, so you're gonna be selling chickens and selling fried chicken. I'm like running jokes in my head, like, you're gonna be over there with a botanica and selling chickens for FO and cutting up chicken on a freezer, thing at the same time. Yeah, mobile botanica slash smoothie. That's what it was. Smoothie truck, right? But that's his idea. You see, his spirit reached out and grabbed that for him. Now, I may not be able to see the fullness of it because not only was it not given to me, but he's might be vibrating on a frequency that I'm not vibrating on. But he should do it. You should do the Botanica smoothie truck. Do it. I mean, what's the worst that happen? It fails. Okay. But the point I'm saying is that whatever your spirit is given to you like that, don't check in with man's convention first to determine if this will work or if it's acceptable. Yeah, talk to your old heads and say, hey, I got this idea. What do you think? I do that. Wow. Yeah, I used to. Most of my old heads are not no longer here. They're ancestors. So I talk to them differently now. But um, yeah, like I used to make them phone calls. Hey, I'm thinking about doing what do you think? And they would give me guidance, and sometimes it'd be a little outdated, and sometimes not. But either way, I'd have those. That's why when he said the thing about you, obviously around yes men, I wouldn't be around yes men. That means they be betas. I don't like being around betas. Any man that I'm around is an alpha, and we respect each other. Even if we don't agree, we might say, well, hey man, let me. All the men that I'm around, we have respect for each other's ages. So I have brothers that are around me that are 2, 3 years younger than me, and they call me elder, my big brother. And I do the same thing for the brothers who are a couple years older than me. Even though if we want to get into like credentials, I have the most credentials out of most of them, pretty much probably my whole crew. Age, I go by age. If you got 4 years on me, that's my elder. If you got 2 years on me, 3 years on me, that's my elder. So I'm not around any yes men. I don't like yes men, you know. But even still, it wouldn't matter because I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do anyway, you know. But yeah, like I was saying, just in terms of like you know, like Dietrich, I'm just using as an example, like smoothie, botanica, people will know it. People will, because how many people doing that? They will, yeah, that brother with the smoothie truck, and you can buy sage from him and stuff like that. Because most people who like smoothies and stuff like that are also people into some spiritual stuff. It's a good idea. I still can't picture what it would look like. I still don't totally have the vision in my head, but it's not for me to have. But I'll support him. I'll send everybody to wherever street he's going to be on, and if I'm in Atlanta, I'll buy all the smoothies up, and I'll do that. If I'm when I'm in Nigeria, hey, I got some stuff for your truck here. It's yours. I'll do that. And I still can't see the full vision, but I know his spirit is expressing itself through life. It's moving through the current. And it's not up to me to take a bunch of logs in the river and block the water and say, stop here. Don't go any further than no. Go off the waterfall. Because even, when water goes over the waterfall, it doesn't die. It keeps going. Keep going. You know. Let me get ready to get out of here, man. Because my eyesight is kind of like doing that thing. Um, every pimp is a king. Real, yeah, real pimps. That's the next documentary though. We having enough trouble just with the whores. And you know how much people don't like black men, so you already know how it's gonna be with the pimps. Um, Justin says, hell yeah, that's a good idea. It is a good idea. Lady Amal says, buy some crystals and wheatgrass. Exactly, for sure. You know? Um, yeah, Dietrich dragging his feet on it though. Yeah, I'm gonna call you out, Dietrich. Dietrich's dragging his heels on it. It should have been done. It should have been put together, man. Anwar says, yep, I agree. When we disagree, we also sharpen each other. Absolutely. But there's a way to disagree. I'm sure you guys go through it on the men's call, man. I know, because sometimes I get some of the calls back, you know. Matter of fact, Dietrich, I think, is probably the main antagonist of the men's call. Because most time I get calls is about Dietrich, you know. Dietrich is very opinionated. But it's all love. You know, everybody loves each other. It's a brotherhood. I mean, you want to see some sharpening? You guys need to one day witness Zach and brother Charles going at it. Goodness, man. And both of them both got a strong warrior spirit. Both of them, neither one of them relent. They're not into relenting. I mean, I don't know who's worse. They're just different. Zach, Zach's got energy for days, and Charles loves to talk, and he loves to he just loves to get around you. You know, he's Shango. He's Shango and Zach's Eshu. So you want to see a show? Just put any topic on the table and just watch them. You know, but it's all love, man. It's not, they're not disrespecting each other. I can even tell sometimes when they get annoyed. Usually, like I've seen Charles get a little annoyed, but it's not even like he's still like he'll pause and then he'll laugh, then he'll come back. It's love, man. He said, I'm still convinced Zach and Charles are the same person. Yeah, because they're brothers. They're brothers. That's we find each other in that way, man. You know, but yeah, you're right. You're right, Anwar. When we disagree, we sharpen each other. And there's nothing wrong with disagreement. I'm gonna say things and do. That's cool. When it comes out, it might be like, I ain't like it. It wasn't everything I thought it was gonna be. Or this, that. Cool. Like someone's disagreement or the potential of someone's disagreement should not limit you from living, because then now you create a cage out of the fear of someone not accepting something that you're producing or something that you're creating or a reality that you're aligning yourself with. And there's so many threads of consciousness that you got to understand that once you have an idea to do something, there's a stream of consciousness that already has caused that thing to exist. So for instance, the Botanica smoothie truck already exists within the stream of consciousness. So all you're doing is moving into the stream. You're not carving out a new channel per se and saying, let's see if this leads somewhere. If you've had the idea and have been inspired to do it, you've been inspired because that spirit is alive somewhere, which most likely means something could be a planet, a quasar somewhere has already had the idea. There could be a star that exploded millions of years ago, Botanica smoothie truck. And then as that light comes down to earth and then contacts you, Botanica smoothie truck. So it already exists. And if it already exists in thought form, to now pursue it physically is the natural progressions of things. To not pursue it physically now creates a stale spirit inside of your mind. You don't want that. Get it out, flush it out. It's the worst that'll happen. People won't like you. The people who matter will. If Dietrich does this when he finally gets around to doing this Botanica smoothie truck, it might be a complete disaster. It might be a total disaster, and we're gonna love him just the same. Matter of fact, we're gonna love him more because he had the balls to do it. We're gonna love him even more. So earn your stripes. Earn your stripes. Lo says, I'll camp out with my smoothie. You know, black men are amazing, Lady and Marv. I didn't know I needed one until I got one. Sounds odd, but yeah. No, no, it doesn't sound odd at all. No. This society tells you that we're obsolete, we're bestial, we're violent, we're ignorant, you know. So the amazing thing is that you got beyond all of that. That's the actual miracle, that you got beyond all of that and was able to push through that programming and say, "Nah, I'm gonna get me some mandinka," you know. So no, I completely understand that. You know, I don't want to say, "Hey, I got schooled by Chief one time. He had me heated, but I needed it." That's my job. That's my job, and I'll never apologize for that. Some of you need to be upset because I'm not your friend. I talk with you, I joke with you, I help you out and stuff like that, but I'm not trying to be your friend because if I was your friend, I wouldn't be able to help you. So there always has to be some degree of separation. And when you really take a leadership position, you already know that. Well, if you truly are taking a leadership position, you know that. You know, like I'm not gonna be able to be as cool with everyone. And maybe even I might even meet some cool sisters and I knew and I can't hit it. You know, I can't rock with them like that because they're here to learn weird chemical thing that happens. Once they see that they can give you pleasure, the perception of your intelligence that they had before completely goes out the window. You know, but that's what you take when you take on that mantle. When you take on the mantle, I'm excited and I'm happy. Like when we did the Atlanta piece, which we're going to do again, next one's going to be so much better, man. I almost want to share the proposal with you guys that I wrote it, but it's going to be real cool, man. The Day with Chief thing that we're doing, man, we're going to be like getting into family. I'm breaking down the tenets of royalty and how you build a royal family and a royal community, what it really is beyond just waking up saying, I'm a king, I'm a queen. We got to stop that stuff. That stuff is corny. Like, let's really get into it and actually create it. And it's gonna be amazing, man. I urge you guys make it for that one. I don't have the date. They want to do it in early July, but I don't know if I'm ready to do it that soon because I usually am out of the country then, so I don't know. But it's gonna be nice. But anyway, my point I was saying was that I was happy seeing the students joke and laugh with each other. Yeah, I was there with them. I was talking a little bit, and but I just like seeing them together. You know what I mean? Like I like seeing like wow, you know, like they're really digging each other, like they're really enjoying each other's company and laughing and drinking, throwing back liquor together, and just having fun with each other, man. Um, and the most I could really do is observe it, but I can't really get in the midst of it because I might have to turn around and make one of them cry and say, "Wait a minute, did you didn't da da da? What did we talked about that?" Da, 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 da. So there always has to be that distance. So my camaraderie comes other places from other people, from other men. And a lot of times men who are in similar positions. Some of my friends are bishops and pastors and, you know, other Babalawo and things like that. And we can kind of relate to each other's, you know, struggles a little bit. But that's what comes with it, man. And sometimes when you make people clear of that, they get very offended. They get very hurt and they think it as they look at it as a personal rejection and they don't understand. No, I'm not rejecting you personally. I love you so much that I can't be with you the way I would be. I can't be as silly as I would like to be, or like, you know, I just can't do some of these things that I would normally do because I always have to put in my mind, I have to have the foresight, like, what if I need to help this person? What if I need to help them? And that's more important than anything, you know? But not everybody comes at it like that. Um, Lady Mob, yes, and he's from the continent too. Good, because continental brothers don't play. The teacher said Charles is Obama with the smoothness, and Zach is the one that say what Obama really. That's exactly how they are too. Because yeah, Charles is, you know, he's smooth. He's smooth. Well, if you really think about it, look at it this way. You know, he starts everything that way. Look at it this way, and you know you about to. He's about to take you on a ride. And Zach is like, oh man, come on, man. Come on, man. Dang on it. Dang it. You know. And Zach will say something funny and disarm him and get the whole room laughing. and you know, they're just an interesting pair, man. Those two need a reality TV show. And then you throw Dietrich and Anwar in there, it gets even funnier, you know. But they're brothers, man. I just love the brotherhood, man. And we got more, brother Randy. Randy's another. I don't want, you know, he's another funny one though, man. He's a lot funnier than people realize, man. He could be a stand-up comedian, you know. But I'm just looking at the comments. So Dietrich said, not gonna lie, I had to eat a few slices of humble pie on the community men's call, and Chief speaks that allowed me to handle things a whole lot better. Give thanks to the Anu Nation. For sure. And I know you did. I know you did. I remember dishing them out a couple of times and waiting. Like, okay, what's he gonna do? You know? And let me tell you something, Dietrich. You said something very profound once. And not that you don't say profound things, you know, because I always say that about you. I say, yeah, Dietrich's all over the doggone place. He's all over. There ain't no secret. You just listen to the shows, you see. Every week he's got a new thing he's doing. He's all over, but very insightful. And he said that we were talking about manhood once. And I think it was on a community show. I don't even know if I was on the show. I might have just been listening in. And he said, well, I think the first step to manhood is knowing when to shut up. He said, because something, and I'm paraphrasing, when I was younger, you know, and you're around older guys who know more and know what they're doing, you know, you got to know to shut up and listen. And that's one of the first steps to manhood. That was such a profound thing that he said. And I was like, nice. That's good food right there, you know? Um, so yeah, you're gonna eat your humble pie and you're gonna say insightful things, and that's how we become better, man. We can't always be looking for people to validate what it is that we're always feeling, because sometimes we're just not as on point as we might imagine, man. And that's what the community is for, to say, hold on, wait a minute, that may not work, or this or that. Even me, I may be doing a documentary, but y'all ain't gonna check me. That ain't gonna happen. The protocol is always gonna be in place. I'm not getting checked by students. I'm not getting checked by subordinates. You can forget that. Now, if you want to humbly present an idea or humbly present a suggestion, that's totally cool. And I'm going to do the same thing with you. But if you come into my court like, hey, Chief, let me ask you this question, I'm going to give you the answer. And sometimes that's you be serving the humble pie. And if I go to you and ask you a question, then you, by all means, deliver it how you need to deliver it. If I'm coming to you, because now I'm already humbling myself and saying, okay, give it to me, which is cool. And sometimes I do that, you know. But see, that's understanding those protocols and those mores are essential for us to get out of this situation that we're in, man, as a people. Sharita, good evening, sis. Good evening. Lady Mom says, "Oh, don't get me started on Wakanda." I don't know who talked about Wakanda, but I didn't see any of that. People annoyed me because I didn't want to see it. I still haven't seen the Black Panther. They've ruined it for me, man. I was so anticipating that movie before it came out, sending everybody, yo, y'all make sure y'all see the Black. It's gonna be crazy. Then when all of the Walmart dashikis came out and all, I said, man, I don't even want to see it. I was like, cause let me go buy a ticket, and some brother or sister at the counter looks at me like, yeah, right on, that's right, you're doing the right thing. I swear I'll rip it up right there on the spot and throw it against the glass and walk away. Ruined it. Anwar says, believe me, you don't want your spiritual Jegna to be your friend, right? It works against you. I know that from experience. I was about to say, I'm glad you said you know from experience. It never works out. I've seen that so many times, man. You don't want to be close with me like that, because you really want to be close with someone who sees your path all the time. You don't want that, because I see more than I let on. You know, because as a Jegna and a teacher, I have to slowly bring you into certain understandings. If we're tight like that, and I have to be subjected to your stuff all the time, you're going to hear it all the time. That's not very fun, you know. Oh, Justin, you haven't seen it either, huh? The Green Lantern, John Stewart type of dude. Green Lantern needs that imagination. Yeah. I could imagine, man, what they did in Atlanta with the black. I mean, that's a whole other thing. I never even did a show or talked about Black Panther. Even I don't even want to, man. They ruined it. And then you had all the conscious folks like doing breakdowns. I'm like, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Like, come on. The only thing you need to know about the Black Panther is this: they released it around the time of Huey P. Newton's birthday. They did that so that whenever you search on the internet now for Black Panther or Black Panthers, the movie comes up. That's all you need to know. The same thing now, if you search for gangsters in America, you're going to get a picture of Denzel Washington from American Gangster. Why would they name the movie American Gangster? It was about something that happened in New York City. All those films that came out, Godfather, Carlito's Way, Scarface, all of those could have been named American Gangster, especially Scarface. That would have made more sense to call that American Gangster. Someone coming to America and living the American dream. And you call a movie about a rat American Gangster? Good one. That's all you need to know. But anyway, let me get out of here, man. I've had just about enough of you all. No, I'm playing. But but yeah, I went through the letter, and that's all I really wanted to do is just read it. And hopefully, you guys got something out of it. And next time you confront it with something like that, you'll have a different mentality. But let me just say, if the person doesn't study your school of scholarship or wisdom, they may not be worth going back and forth with. It's okay to say, like, you're not on my level. We ain't doing this. I know it may benefit you at the end of it. If after I read you and and tell you this and tell you that, and you did this wrong, did that, yeah, you become a better person. But what do I get from this? Nothing. And I don't need the vindication for my ego. So let's just not do it. So yeah, man. All right, so let me get out of here. And like I said, hopefully you all learned something. Thank you for everyone who stopped in and out. And make sure you support All Whores Go to Heaven. We definitely need your support. I don't know how we're looking on this Kickstarter. I may have to restart a funding campaign on GoFundMe or something. My whole plan from the beginning was like, I'm going to match the donations. That's why I kept it low. I only made it $3,000. That doesn't cover the movie cost. It doesn't even cover the travel cost. Actually, the $3,000 was for one shoot. We got one shoot scene, photographer for that shoot, uh, like food, and it's like 100 and maybe $200 for the cast. But just like it's not even for the whole. It's really for like two scenes, But I said, yeah, I'll match it with my own bread. But it's moving very slow. And it could be also because of the red wrap. Like red wrap did pretty well. Like we definitely we're happy. Like yeah, we're happy. We're happy about how that's like come together, man. And we haven't done it yet. The event is Monday, actually, but so I shouldn't even. We happy so far. As long as everything continues to go according to plan, I feel good about that. And we got some more people interested in terms of like organization. So the next one we do in the fall, we're gonna like just go bigger and better each time and provide other kind of products and stuff like that, other kind of services and stuff, and just keep it building and building and building and building and building, But yeah, man. So All Whores Go to Heaven. Share it. Share the website. Share the Kickstarter. Share the promos. And even if people don't want to see it, have a discussion about it, man. That's what this is really about, education. Like I said, with a documentary, you really just hope to break even. So really usually it's a passion project for most documentaries. And that's what this is really for me, to be honest. And you'll know why later. Yeah. All right. So I'm out of here, man. Y'all have thoroughly worn me out. And I'm going cross-eyed now as I'm trying to look at these words. They're looking like little white ants on the screen. And what time is it? 1:24. Oh, and my night's not over. So I got to send out a couple more messages, and then yeah, we'll see what happens after that. All right, yo, you'll be well. And I don't know when I'll do another live. I don't know. Depends on what's going on. Maybe Monday for the red wrap or something. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I like the fact that now I don't have to schedule like I had before. So now I'm doing it more. I'm like enjoying it a little bit more. Before it was like, oh, it's 1 o'clock. Oh, it's 11 o'clock. I gotta go to Chief Speaks. Oh, it's there's a guy. I gotta go to it. Now it's like I get to it when I get to it. All right. So you guys be well, man. And Dietrich, man, get on it. And now you all know Dietrich Truck Tucker. His social media handle is Black Lion, BLAQUE. Yeah, I'm outing you, Dietrich. Yeah, because I believe in accountability coaches, man. You guys keep them accountable for getting those businesses off the ground, man. Keep them accountable. We'd like to see the Botanica slash smoothie car. Or if you don't, I'll just finance someone in the Atlanta area to do the idea. Who wants to move to Atlanta? All right.